Hi guys. Welcome back to our, what is it, fourth episode? My name is Lorraine.com, as you already know. And we're very happy because today we're actually doing video for the first time.
Yay.
4 episodes in. So again, I'm Lorraine.com, and I am very excited because today we have a very, very special guest. Well, before I introduce her, I want to let you guys know that, of course, PIC is here in the room with us.
I'm in the background.
Hi.
I'm in the back scene.
Hi,
Here. You'll be hearing from me.
We also have our producer, Mr. Ray Zombie.
In the cut. What's up, guys?
And he'll make his way in and out with us, as he usually does. And then, of course, I have Miss Dulce Tormenta here with us, our special guest for our first video episode. So welcome, guys, to Crude&Unhinged. How are you feeling, friend?
Thank you. First of all, thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you for coming on.
Oh my gosh, no, I was so excited when you had mentioned. First of all, I was excited when you told me that you were starting your first podcast, right?
Yes.
Your first episode.
Ever.
And I was excited when you first started your social media, and I was excited when you would release videos and parts of your podcast. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm a huge supporter of my friends. So those that support me, I love to support them in any way. And so when you invited me on the podcast, I was more than happy to be here. I know. Did you bring Kleenex?
I know. I'm ready.
No.
Actually, I did not bring Kleenex.
I'll run and get some. I'll run and get some, guys.
Dude, and actually, look, you know what? Like a really quick story. That's why I decided. I had been telling Mr. Producer over here that I wanted to start a podcast for like months, and it just never happened. We just never did it or whatever. And then I saw you because, you know, Dulce Tormenta is my client. Yes. So I saw her, and then, you know, she's telling me I've known her a very long time, and I've known her like trajectory of how her things have gone down. And in one of those, she said, I also have an extra room, which we'll talk about right now. And she said, I'm thinking of starting my own podcast. And I was like, oh, dude, like, she is I know she's just, she's younger than me, which we'll talk about, but she's such an inspiration. Like, she inspires me every day. It's not motivates me, she inspires me, you know? So when you said the podcast, I was like, dude, where could I have been with this podcast now? You know, nada más me la llevo and, one day I'll do it. But we don't live by that anymore. Yeah, exactly. We do. So how old are you?
So I'm 26 years old.
You're young.
Yeah,
I remember those good old days.
No, but when I turned 26 in July 17. So my date of birth is 07/17/97. So the number 7 follows me a lot.
Oh, nice.
I remember when I turned 26. I remember maybe like a couple months ago.
Back a year ago.
I was so sad because I was like, oh no, I'm turning like 26. And then I just, I guess, overthought about, oh my gosh, soon I'll be 27, 28, 29, 30. But I get that a lot, that I'm very young, but I don't feel 26. I definitely feel younger. No, I'm just kidding.
Do you feel like you know how a lot of people will 20. Say, I feel like an old soul? Do you feel like that or no?
I feel like wrestling has made me feel like I have an old soul.
Oh,
for sure. All my experiences,
bones.
For sure.
physically, I feel.
No, dude, let me tell you a little bit of how Dulce and I came to be. Yes. So a long time ago, when I started my skincare business, a friend of ours that we have mutually introduced us. Yes. And she came in and she's like, I have a client who really wants to see you. And I was like, yeah, for sure, bring her in. Jovencita, dude. I mean, that was 5 years ago. You were like 20?
That's true. Yes, maybe? I was like 20. I was about to turn 21.
Yeah.
It was that summer.
Yeah, venías con tu boyfriend, I remember. It was at the East
really?
location.
She's like, nobody remembers that.
And I was like, she was like, obviously, like, as a client and as a therapist, I saw what she was going through. And you had mentioned to me something about I'm in between jobs or something like that. Yes. You're like, I don't have like the full amount, or I don't know what happened. Or I wanted to obviously give you sessions and stuff like that, because that's the only way we would take care of it. Yes. And I said, and she's like, but I don't have a lot of money or something like that. And I was like, don't worry about it. I got you. Yes. Like, let's work something out. Yes. It was very, so I don't know. I just felt like an instant connection, whatever.
And I feel like that made me more comfortable and more like happy to be there. You know, everything happens for a reason, and the fact that we cross paths like that was really awesome. For those of you that don't know, Dulce Tormenta, I have never had great skin. You know, since I was a young girl, since my middle school days. And so it's gotten better, but then it gets bad, but then it gets better, but then it gets bad, especially because I wear a mask. Mm-hmm. So I'm constantly needing, you know, facials and stuff like that. And so during that time, I was struggling a lot because I was out of my injury. I had a concussion, which left me out of wrestling for a year. During that period, well, I was in and out of jobs because I wasn't feeling good. Like I would have headaches at my work. And then I would have to go home early. And so from a point of view, from a job, I could understand why. Like, it would make them angry or it would make them, like, not want to have me as an employee. Mm-hmm. Because I couldn't be there. And as much as I wanted to be there and work and have a regular life, I just couldn't because I was feeling like shit all the time. My head was hurting all the time. Right. You know, and then on top of that, I was breaking out really badly because I was just so stressed. Right. And so that's when I came into Lorraine. And so it was my situation back then. I was just like... I can't afford a whole packet of facials right now, but I can come see you maybe once a month, and I can do like when I would see you.
Well, we managed to work something out. Yeah, we started working on her. Whatever. Since then, that's how I started finding out about how you did wrestling. Oh yeah. Honestly, from the very first day, I was so impressed by you. Like I was like, this badass girl. You know,
Lorraine's like body slam me. Let's hear it right here, right now.
A body slam for a facial. Since then, and then obviously, you know, we've been friends since then. Yes. Y yo he visto all the things that you've done since then. It's amazing
so
to me.
It was not only me attending like facials or attending my monthly, you know, self-care. It was more of like I got to sit down, I got to lay on a bed and just talk to a girl that was so nice to me. Like you were so nice to me, you were so understanding. And I feel like I always need that getaway from wrestling and everything that happens because, you know, I go through so much, especially right now, that my career is kind of like really getting somewhere, that I really need that time to myself where I get to talk to people. And so from the day one, I've always been like that with Lorraine. I've always told her, like, she would ask me, how's wrestling? And then I would tell her, and then she would give me feedback and stuff like that. So I always need that person to get it out. And it has always been you every time that I laid on that table. I know.
Kleenex, please.
I just want to get it out there that when you invited me to this podcast and it was going to be more personal stuff, I told Lorraine, please bring a box of Kleenex because I know I'm going to cry at some point in this interview, like good
and
tears.
And this bitch forgot.
And she didn't.
You had one job, Lorraine. You had one job. Y like, pero me quito la camisa de mi lomo.
A ver, que se la quite.
Anyways, so we I'm excited about this interview because like yes. I have mentioned, and you know, we started putting like, you know, Instagram stories and stuff. We're gonna get to really know what's behind the mask. Yes. You know, the real Dulce. Yes. Everybody sees this badass woman, and there's a lot more to just a wrestler. But we don't know the struggles that they've had to go through, the things in life that they've had to overcome to get where you are, which is yet another reason why you inspire me so much. And you know, I'm like, man, you know, like she's so young, she goes and gets it, she puts it out to the world, and she creates that reality for her, which I'm all for.
No, thank you so much.
You know, that's what I'm all for, huh?
Yeah, she is. She really is.
And I feel like it's more than wrestling, you know, and it has a lot to do with my mental health, most importantly, because everybody, like you said, sees this awesome wrestler, like on Instagram, for example, people that don't know me, but really, you know, they don't know what I had to go through to achieve where I am right now. And so every wrestler has different paths. Everybody has different experiences. And so this is my experience right now, right here.
Right here, right now.
You know what's cool? We got some, a lot of people did write in. So we're very grateful for that. We'll go out after some questions. We'll hit some question points. Can you? No.
Oh. Well, hi guys. So Dulce, can you tell us a little bit about, were you born and raised here? What's your story? What how did you get here? How did this interest?
How did it all start?
How did it all start?
Tell us.
So, how did it all start? So I am the only daughter of 4 brothers. So I have 3 older ones, myself, and a younger boy. And so, as 5 kids, my parents came from a very low income situation, and as raising 5 kids, well, my dad was the one that was working, and my mom was a stay-at-home, mom, wife, taking care of 5 kids. So it was best for them to just raise us in Juarez. So I was actually born in El Paso, and I was raised in
Oh,
Juarez.
wow.
Yes,
Okay.
and I don't remember much, but what I do remember are always, happy memories. Of course, as time has progressed, now I look back and it just makes me think like, wow, I really come from nothing. Like my parents, did their best to raise us and economically, and my mom did her best to make sure that we always went through.
Closer to the mic.
That we always went through like a really good life experience, and we never lost track of the good path. My mom always said that. But my dad at the time, he was a taxi driver in El Paso, and I always lived the life of, I crossed over to Ciudad Juarez in my neighborhood, my colonia, my barrio. It's close to Alta Vista. It's kind of close to Anapra, so it's straight from UTEP. If you look at it on this side.
Oh, I know exactly where you're talking about. Okay, yeah.
And so, I lost track. So, I always lived the life of, I went to school in El Paso, so I always had to wake up, 3 a.m. I remember waking up early. My mom got us ready for school. We crossed over the bridge. My dad dropped us off at my grandma's house at the time, and then we would sleep a little bit, and then we would wake up again to go to school. My mom would walk us to school. I went to Alta Vista Elementary. It's right here in Central.
Yes.
And so after school, my mom would pick us up. My brothers would come in from middle school, and we would walk, dude. We would take the city bus as close as we could, and then we would walk over. We would cross the bridge. My dad would be waiting on the other side, and then we would go home. My childhood, really, it was a blast. When I was younger, I didn't know what having money was. I didn't know what having, good clothes was. I didn't know what having, always food on the table was. Because all I remember was just my parents doing their best and me just having enough to be a happy child.
Right.
I always wanted to be like my brothers. That's for sure. And so I always dressed like my brothers. I was a tomboy, as a young girl, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years old. I was just like my brothers. They were my inspiration.
Right. Shout out to the brothers.
Yes, shout out to the brothers, yes. And, they would play with cars. And I would rather play with cars than play with the Barbies my mom bought me. You know what I mean? So, stuff like that. And so one of the things was that I will never forget is my dad. My dad, he would leave to work, come back, and as a child, I don't realize these things, but, we really lived in a very, I don't want to sound rude or mean or hurt anybody out there, but we were really poor, as younger kids. I remember my dad gave me $1, $2, and I was the happiest kid ever. Humilde, yes, humilde. And I was the happiest kid, and I would go to the corner store and buy candy, and I remember I had this big bag of candy, and I was just the happiest little girl, but really, $2 is not, well, in today's world, $2 is not much, but back then it was everything that my dad could afford to give his daughter, and during winters, I hated the cold because we always had we were always so cold, and we didn't have a heater or stuff like that, or I didn't have a jacket big enough. Or, for example, my happiest days as a kid was when it would rain, because for me it was playtime. We would scoop the water out of our house. And for me, it was it's so exciting, I was having a blast, but really our house would get flooded when we would have really bad rain, and my parents would always stress about, it's going to rain. And they would stress about it, but I would be like, but why? It's so cool. It's fun. We get to play with water. But the reality was that my house would get flooded, and stuff like that.
What about, is there a point where you your parents decided to move to El Paso?
Yes.
Or like what happened?
So we went through a very bad experience in Juarez. It was during, I cannot remember the years, but it was when Juarez was getting really, really, really bad and really unsafe. My mom talked about this for every time, really. So when my younger brother was born, he was a newborn, right? And so one morning, my mom woke up 5 a.m. to feed him, and all I remember, my mom screaming, and she was saying, Candelo, that's my dad's name. He was like, Candelo, nos están robando. And I just remember my dad, my brothers, like, rush out. We had a dog at the time. Our dog was poisoned. Somebody had came into our home and stole my dad's tools because he was an iron worker. So, like, nos robaron completely. They stole from us. And it was very traumatizing, scary, because I had no idea what was happening. I just saw my mom was crying. I had to take care of her and my newborn. My brothers were out running, chasing the guy. And so in Ciudad Juarez, houses are built like going downwards. We lived in a little hill. So it was like one house, the next house, the next house. And my father tried to like chase after the guy that was robbing us, right? And so when he jumped on the house next to us, my father tried to follow and he fell. And so he fell maybe 12 feet. So he broke both of his ankles. Yes. So can you only imagine like what my parents went through as my father, who was the only income to the house, and my mom, who took care of us, what were we going to do? Like even the fear, like if they robbed us once, how did my mom know that they were going to come back? Again. You know what I mean? So we gathered our stuff as much as we could. My brothers, 15, 14, 13, 12 years old, they helped my mom and my dad, get everything into the truck, and we moved over to El Paso. And that was when my parents were like, okay, for sure, we need to get out of Ciudad Juarez, because it was, at the time, it was when it was really, really bad. Right. So that's when we made officially the transition to El Paso. Yes.
And how did you like it? I mean, did you have a hard time with that transition from Juarez to El Paso? Was it hard for you as a child, for the change, or was it better for you feel?
I feel like as a child, well, you really don't know, Right. Like I said, like as a child, I had no idea that I was very poor, that my family didn't have enough to give me toys or stuff like that. So when I made the transition, we moved into a duplex that was close to my grandma's house. Okay. So for me as a child, that was so cool, because I could walk over to my grandma's house. It was at the corner of the street, and it was a duplex. It was a super tiny duplex. So all my life, I always slept with my brothers. It was like 4 beds in one room, and for me, it was like, oh, cool. Like now we're on this side. It's easier for me to go to school. I get to sleep in a little bit more. Right. I could buy stuff at the time it was Food City, I think. I could buy stuff at Food City, It was like
existe. Todavía anda ahí el Food City.
It was like stuff like that. I didn't notice.
Central or where?
What?
El Food City Central?
Yeah, the one that was on Montana in front of Alta Vista.
Oh, no, it does not.
Oh, well,
right now,
what is it now?
Was Lowe's? Or it was
See,
Lowe's?
now it's Big 8. I don't know,
Oh,
but I know which
It
one.
used to be Big 8 and it was the Lowe's now. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was Big 8. Yes, it was Big 8. Yes.
Todavía sigue strong, going strong.
And so growing up, it was hard because, well, I never, like, for example, it was very hard for my brothers to make the transition because they were Spanish speakers. So when they crossed over, they struggled a lot with English.
Really?
Yes.
So, like, maybe a lot of people don't know that Spanish was your first language.
Yes.
Like, completely. And so, like, now that
Spanish is my first language. That's what
cool.
I spoke, throughout my childhood, even when I was in Alta Vista. But then we moved houses again, and and my elementary turned into Hillside Elementary. And that was when I really learned English. I went into 3rd grade not knowing English. Most of the classmates, teachers, they were English speakers. So that really helped me a lot to catch on to English. When I was younger, I would pretend like I would speak English. Like I would just make sounds, or like, because I really wanted to learn.
Right.
So I feel like I know that helps me throughout life. Apparently.
Fun fact, how many languages do you know?
So
You're like,
okay.
And so the elementary that I went to, Hillside Elementary, well, they have the deaf program for deaf people. So it's elementary, Hillside, Ross, and middle school. So my first years at elementary, I remember, well, obviously seeing classmates, students, kids communicating with their hands. I didn't understand. I asked my mom, "Hey, mom, well, why are they, moving their hands funny, or how come they don't speak, Or I was calling one of them the other day, and he didn't turn. What's going on?" And my mom explained to me, well, you know what, they're deaf, and they were born deaf, or they became deaf, and that's how they communicate. And so I was really intrigued, and so I would always ask my mom to go to the public library, and I would check out books about sign language. When I joined fifth grade, when I was in fifth grade, they had singing signing choir. So I joined singing signing choir.
Oh my God.
And so I really started to pick up on the language. And so I grew up with the kids that I went to elementary, middle school, and high school, the deaf kids.
Mm-hmm.
And so I ended up learning ASL. I went to college. I went to community college because UTEP doesn't have the program. I know, not because I wanted to go to a community college. But I really joined to become a sign language interpreter. And so I learned ASL, yes. And so I was always very involved with ASL. And so I'm very fluent in ASL.
Let's see, do something right now.
No. And so,
Dulce, give us something.
and I was
Can you do like a thank you for having me or something like that? Because I know there's this.
thank you for having me here. Well, it's very rusty. I'm not gonna lie. It's
Okay.
not like,
But still, it's
but
still
I know how to
something good.
defend myself. You know,
Right.
Like, trust me, I wouldn't know what you're like. Toma.
No, but and the way that I grew up, I started to pick up on really good Spanish, really good English, ASL, and now that I'm a pro wrestler internationally, that I wrestle sometimes in Mexico here, I meet Mexican people, I meet people that do not speak a word in Spanish. It has really helped me. The other day I went to a event of AW, was in Denver. My friend Brian, shout out to Brian, he invited me. And as I'm waiting there to walk in, I was standing in line, and there was a kid. He was maybe 5 years old, and he was signing to his dad. And I said, "Oh my God, this is so cool." So I walk over and I sign to everybody, and the dad is like, "Oh no, I'm hearing my child is deaf, and he's a great fan of wrestling."
Oh.
So I'm there
That's
talking
cute,
to
dude.
so I'm
That's
there
super
talking to the
cute.
kid,
Aw.
and I never would have thought that the way that I grew up is stuff that I'm able to use.
Like
Right.
incorporate into
Incorporate, yes,
life
exactly,
now, or-
exactly.
That's really, really cool.
Yeah.
I know that it
It's
is cool.
just one of the many things she does, okay? I'm not here
We're
to
just getting
hype her
started.
up.
So did you do ESL because that you wanted to do some before you started wrestling? Like, were you going to school because that's what you wanted to pursue as a career, or how you just wanted to do ESL as like
ASL.
some ASL? Sorry guys, sorry.
ESL es de los Mexican kids, ¿no? Los Spanish kids.
No,
Ahí
mames.
estaba yo. Shout out.
Shout out to you.
Yeah,
Hasta la pregunta se nos olvidó ya.
Like, were you planning to use the ASL for like a career that
Yes.
you wanted to go to?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so, well, sometime during my life, I was introduced to wrestling, but it was not something that I really thought, okay, this is what I want to do for a living.
Okay.
So, graduating high school, I felt very pressured because obviously counselors, teachers, classmates, I felt pressured to just go to college and do something. Make sure you go to college right after you graduate. And I felt very pressured. And so when I learned about, college and stuff like that, and I did my research, and I was like, okay, ASL. ASL is what I want to go to school for. And so I signed up to EPCC, and so that's really what I started doing.
And so how did it go from ASL to wrestling?
So going back to like the way that I grew up with my brothers, I was in Hillside Elementary. I lived a lot closer to the school, and me and my brothers, it was me, my younger brother, and Edgar. We would watch WWE on Telemundo. And so I remember I thought it was so cool. We we would wrestle at the house. My favorite wrestlers at the time, it was like Kelly, and it was Maurice, and it was Randy Orton, and it was Edge, and we really loved to watch it on Telemundo, and in Telemundo it's in Spanish, right? So it was really cool. And so when I tried to incorporate that in school or talk about that in school, my classmate didn't think it was cool. My classmate didn't really, oh, you like WWE? It's fake, or oh, you know, something like that. And then something that I thought was so cool, it was just like, okay, well, maybe it's not cool, you know. So then I forgot about wrestling. I was just really into sports. When I went to middle school, I was really into sports. I've always been into sports. I did volleyball, soccer, basketball, everything. Like, sports start in the beginning of the year, and then, you know, they have seasons like volleyball, basketball, soccer. I did the whole year in sports. Yes, I was always very, very active. My mom was always very supportive. She always took me to practices and stuff like that. And and somehow throughout middle school, my father, who was a taxi driver, he met a friend, and he was a taxi driver as well, and he turned out to be a wrestler. His name is Blackfish. And, you know, one summer, I remember I was maybe 6th grade. One summer, my dad comes home, and he's like, I am gonna sign you guys up, two of my brothers, Andres and Edgar. I'm gonna sign you guys up to Lucha Libre for summer because I want you guys to do something and not just sit around or not do nothing for the summer. You're gonna do Lucha Libre.
That's what I'm talking about, you know, like, go hard.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm ready.
Why am I not included? And so my brothers did that for a while until eventually, for like a couple of months, until eventually my older brother decided to attend a training where I want to know what's going on, what's happening. He goes to the training. The trainer includes him in the training. My brother ends up liking it as well. So now we have 3 brothers training. And I'm still in sports. I was just like very dedicated to my sports. I thought what they were doing was cool, but I was just like, oh, I support them, but you know, I'm very happy with doing sports. So along the way, somehow at one point, my father, he spent so much money in training my brothers. Eventually my brothers debuted it. And so because we didn't come from a family of wrestling, we really just landed in wrestling like by accident, you can say. The promoters at the time, they were not very supportive of my brothers. They wouldn't book them and stuff like that. And so my father was like, well, I didn't spend so much money, you know, training them and their gears and everything for them just not to have an opportunity. So I'm going to start my own promotion. So my dad, as a welder, he made his own ring from scratch in the back of my yard, actually.
Nice.
Yes, I know.
So it
Wow.
runs in the family, huh?
Right.
Yes,
And now we know where you get it from.
So I remember coming home from practice, and I just saw my dad like with a bunch of tubos and everything he had in the backyard, and I remember thinking like, what are you doing? Like, what is this? Oh no, me acuerdo que me dijo, mija, I'm gonna make a ring for your brother so you guys can train. Oh, that's cool, Dad. You know, I was still like, oh, okay, that's cool. You know. So then, long story short, my brothers, you know, we started a promotion. It's called New Era Wrestling on Instagram, and you know, we're very successful to this day. But it has definitely been a struggle because not a lot of people didn't believe in us. You know, a lot of people say, "Oh, you don't come from a generation." Well, you know, how are we supposed to support X, Y, and Z? It's so many reasons, so many things that we went through that eventually when I graduated, when I was still in high school, I was about to finish my senior year, my wrestling year, because I joined wrestling in high school. We did a show up on Epic Rail Yard, and I was just, from one day to the next, I saw my brothers wrestling, and I was like, I saw their fan base. I saw, you know, how great of a wrestlers they were. I saw their physique. You know, they really took care of themselves, and they were always at the gym. They had like this lifestyle that I really liked, and I was really intrigued. So I said, you know what, I want to be like them. And we go back to my childhood, you know, I always wanted to be like them.
Right.
So they had a wrestling school at the time, and so my brothers trained me. A lot of people ask me, who trained you? Well, my brothers did. And it was really hard because they had to separate the family and, I'm going to train you to be a fucking badass kind of situation. Right. And I remember fighting with my older brother. I always argue with him. I would be like, why are you so hard on me? And he would be like, dude, it's because like either you do it with 100% and you learn how to do it, or you fucking, sorry. Or you do it, or you do it.
Crude and unhinged.
Or you fucking.
Say how you feel it.
Or you fucking do it scared and you get injured and this is not for you. Like A or B. You cannot be in the middle. I'd be like, okay, here I go. I'm going to do it. And because I had just graduated high school, I went through wrestling, high school wrestling. I know hard work. I know, going until your body can't no more. Discipline, exactly. So it was a lot easier for me to pick up the sport. It was a lot easier for me to do lucha libre. I learned a lot from my brothers. And I trained for a couple of months. I want to say 6 months. And then I had my first match. So all of that fresh out of high school. So when I was out of high school, I had my first match as Delilah was my name back then.
Oh shit!
Delilah. Yes, I had a whole different look.
We have a good amount of questions. How did your name come about? I mean, and now that you're telling us that it was Delilah.
How did it go from Delilah to Dulce?
Transition or like how did you come up with it or what?
So the first name Delilah, my dad gave me that name. It was mostly of Delilah and Samson. Samson and Delilah, the story. That Samson didn't cut his hair. The only girl that he cut it for was Delilah. Something like that.
Oh, okay.
So look up the story.
Yes, we'll look it up.
That's
homework.
Like, I think you know her.
Yeah. And so my father always saw me as like, you wrestle with men. So your name's going to be Delilah, whatever. So I had that for a while. And I was mostly local. It was when I was balancing lucha libre every Friday with my family and going to college. So I mostly always saw it as a hobby. I saw it as a hobby. I saw it as helping my family out in their business. I saw it as I'm just doing this for my family, with my family. Right. So I never really saw it as, okay, this is something that I really want to do outside of El Paso, right? And I would get invited to wrestle out of El Paso, but for me, school was more important, and at the time, taking care of my mom because she really needed it. It was when my mom was starting to get sick and stuff like that. So then I had an accident during a match. I hit my head really bad, and it left me out with a concussion. And the time with a concussion, I was out for like a year. It was really, really bad. And
for those of you that want to say that wrestling's not real, a concussion is pretty real.
Honestly, no, it was really bad. And it took me forever to just feel better, It left me out for a year. And for a while, I didn't want to know anything about wrestling. I was tired of wrestling. I was like, no, like fuck that. It left me out for so long. I feel like shit. Like, I don't even feel good. I don't ever want to know anything about wrestling. So I stepped away. And I feel like during that time, that's where I met you. Yeah. I would have jobs and stuff like that, but I was still not feeling well. I had breakouts because I was just so stressed, and that's when I went to go see you, and it was during that time frame. So then after the concussion, I started to feel better. I started to go to the gym. I started to, get back into my normal self, feel like myself again. And eventually I was like, oh, but wrestling was always there, like poking at me. Like I would see something on Facebook and it was related to me, or it was always there. It had never left my life.
Like a daily reminder.
Exactly. Yeah, a daily reminder.
Remember me?
Exactly. It was just like that. And so after that, what happened? Oh, and then COVID happened. You're like,
I remember that.
Yeah, our favorite year. COVID happened, and what kept me away for a while still. And when things started to get better, we removed the face masks. There were a lot more people traveling and stuff like that. I was like, okay, I'm gonna come back. I remember I was working at a doctor's office. I was the secretary. I was working as the front desk, and I remember I hated my manager, bro. I remember I hated
What's
her.
her name? Shout out.
Not a shout out to her. Not a shout out to her.
I remember I hated my manager. She was so rude. She was so mean. And one day I got home and I said, is this life? Like, is this what I'm supposed to do? just fucking deal with shitty people like that. Like, no. And my thing is, throughout my whole career, is I don't ever let anybody determine my future. I don't ever let anybody determine, my capability, what I'm capable of doing. That has always been my thing. And so that's what I felt at the time. And then I said, you know what? I'm going to become a wrestler. And I'm going to come back and I'm going to be different. And I'm going to travel more. And I'm going to really work on that and see where it goes. I was just like, see where it goes.
I really thought you were going to say and come back and body slam her. You're like, oh, okay.
So you really want me to body slam Lorraine?
No, your manager.
Your manager. No,
manager.
pues también a Lorraine, pero digo.
We will do that at the end of the interview.
Just a little chokehold.
And so it was when you came back, and that's when you came up with the name Dulce Tormenta?
Yes. I got home from a really bad day at work, and I remember my mom was there, and I said, Mom, you know what? Ya no aguanto esta pinche vieja. I was so mad. I was like, Mom, I don't like my job. Like, I don't have fun. I hate it. I want to be a wrestler. My mom would be like, okay. I remember her telling me, okay, mija, let's start. So I said, okay, I want to have this new look. I want to have this new name. I want everything to be different. I want to be fresh. And so my mom came up with my name, Dulce Tormenta.
Oh.
In the beginning, it was going to be, I think it was going to be Dulce Veneno. And then my mom was like, no, Dulce Tormenta.
I don't think it could have been better.
Yeah, no, it sounds like it flows really well.
Really?
Yeah, I love it.
Love it. Yeah.
That's awesome. But yes, it was, my mom came up with the name, and, I started while I was still at work, dealing with everything that was happening, I was using my paychecks to, like, get my gears done, go to the gym, really invest in how I was looking. And when I went to go get my gear, my mask, I remember telling the guy who does them for me, his name is Nick, and I said, hey Nick, this is my name, Dulce Tormenta. I have no idea how I want my mask to look, but this is kind of the look that I'm going for. And I had like this, it was a thunder for sure in the middle, but I didn't have the heart. And
do they make it for you?
my dad did it.
Like,
so my dad drew it. Yeah, my dad
okay.
drew it.
Oh, shit.
And I said, this is kind of what I have. But I don't know. I feel like it needs more. I feel like it needs something. So then he goes, okay, I'll have it ready in 3 weeks. I said, come back in 3 weeks.
Did you always know you wanted to be like masked up? Like,
yes.
well, not all luchadoras wear.
Yeah.
They don't all wear masks, right?
Well, it really depends. Like in Mexico, Lucha Libre, most of them wear a mask.
Oh, okay.
Most of them. And then you have the American side, which is the pro wrestling, and nobody wears a mask. Everybody has their own gimmick, and everybody has, their normal self.
Right.
And because of where I grew, in the border, I've always been around Lucha Libre. I learned Lucha Libre. I trained Lucha Libre. I was like, I'm gonna be a masked luchadora.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so it always came with me. I guess it's my culture. It's my culture, and
for sure.
most importantly, it's El Paso.
Right.
And I come back, and the designer Nick, he has this mask for me. I had not changed one bit. He's like, the heart, the thunder. It goes with you, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, okay, cool. And at first, nobody would call me because everybody thought that I was a new wrestler. Until a friend in Denver, his name is Joel, he knew me as Delilah.
Oh,
so he was like, you're Delilah, right? I was like, yeah. He's like, you want to come to Denver and wrestle? I said, yes. He bought my first flight. In wrestling ever, and I flew to Denver, and ever since then it really didn't stop. I was just traveling after that.
So then both your name and your mask have a big significance because your dad designed your mask and your mom helped you come up with your name.
Yes, and my mom always told me like Dulce because of how you are, like sweet, nice person outside of the ring, and a Tormenta because you're like hardcore, a badass, a thunder in the ring, She always told me that it really matched my personality.
I love it.
I know. Yeah. I love the story behind it. I'm like, oh my God.
Hey, no lie. I got the chills when you're saying that. Like, straight up. I got the chills. Yeah. That's a good story. It's a really good story. I like that.
Yeah. And it's,
shout out to your parents.
Thank you.
Good stuff for people to know, your fans, everyone, because it's very interesting.
You're right. Like, a lot of people see her and they don't know
everything about it.
But that was a really good question. Everybody had that question was like,
and I get it a lot.
Where does it come from, or how
did you start? Yeah.
And let me ask you this. I know we were touching on the fact that your brothers, you know, do wrestling too and stuff.
Yeah.
And so how do they feel about your success in wrestling? You know,
are they still wrestling?
No, so you know, life happens. Like, for example, my older brother, who was my trainer, he eventually got married, you know, and he has kids, and you know, if wrestling wasn't paying the bills, then he had to find something else to do, you know, and he started working. And then the other brother, Andres, who was also my trainer, well, he was a UTIP student at the time, so he focused more on his school. He graduated. He became a social worker, so he worked Monday through Friday. He had to continuing,
right,
you know, that path of his life. And with me, well, then I have another brother who wanted to be a cop. And so he went to school, EPCC, he graduated, he moved to Pecos. He's a sheriff's officer over there. So he followed, you know, whatever life had destined for him.
Right.
And so I continued wrestling. My younger brother, he's such a big supporter. And, you know, a lot of my wrestling moves, a lot of my outfits, a lot of the way that I see wrestling, the idea of wrestling comes from my younger brother, because my younger brother, he has always been a fan of wrestling, and he's like my right hand. He's my manager. He's everything. He tells me, Dulce, instead of doing this, why don't you try doing this? You know, and I always tell him, joking around, I always tell him, dude, you are legit the real Dulce Tormenta. Like, you're
the guy behind the mask.
Yes, you're the guy behind the mask.
Surprise, motherfuckers. And I'm not thinking else.
No, but shout out to him, and I really appreciate it. I call him my baby, because as all of this life has been going on, you know, my mom at one point, she did start to get sick, and, you know, she was not the same mom that took care of us in Juarez. So she always told me, take care of your younger brother, because I can't do that for him. And so I was always there for him. I always took him to school. I took him to practice. I took him to doctor's appointments. I was the mom that my mom couldn't be at the time.
And how old is he?
Right now he's 20. He's about to turn 21. It feels
so
like
you guys are very close.
Yes, we are very close, and it feels like he knows all my drama. He knows all my chisme. He knows every guy that has ever done me wrong. He knows it all. You know, it feels like he's about to turn. I feel like he was supposed to turn 21 so long ago, but it feels like we just can't get there. Like, he's gonna be 21
He's
in
been
February.
21 for like 10 years now.
Yes.
So they're all
So we're very
like
close.
Supporters.
Yes.
Like all your brothers support you.
All of my brothers are very supportive,
nice.
especially right now. You know, I had a tragedy in my life 2 years ago, and you know, really had me at the very bottom, and the ones that helped me a lot was my brothers. You see, I really want to cry.
We can all cry with you here.
Yes, I'm gonna let it out.
Look, it's a Kleenex.
I know.
Like, what can I give her?
Lauren's gonna take off her shirt.
Can I run to the restroom or something?
So then, what was the next question? Where are we picking up? About what happened? Yes. So
Please tell us a little bit about it. Well, if you want to talk about your
yes,
tragedy.
I do. It's gonna make me cry for sure, but
You don't have to talk about it if you don't want to.
no, I feel like I do.
I feel
just
like
because,
I feel like it's molded you
yes, definitely.
you know what I mean, like to where you are right now and stuff like that.
So I lost my mom 2 years ago, and it's been very hard on me because, you know, wrestling has gotten so tough and mentally, and so I just wish that I could have that person, as my mom was once at some point in my life, as my best friend, that I could talk to her and tell her things, but I don't. And everything that I've gone through in wrestling that has to do with like the hard times, men just being men, you know, it's like it's made me very strong, especially not having my mom. It has definitely made me very strong, and you know, she was a huge impact in wrestling, especially because she gave me this name, she gave me this mask, you know what I mean? And so the day that she passed, well, it was the saddest day of my life, right? But no, my mom was very sick. She was going through a lot, and as I don't know if this sounds any cruel or just mean, but I knew that it was about to happen because I would see my mom. You know, she was not doing very well, and so the day that it happened, I just remember obviously being sad. I couldn't believe it, but I remember just telling myself like the worst happened. It already happened, and it's like they say people know when they're about to pass away, and it's like my mom really molded me and got me ready for when it did happen. You know, she told me when it happens, when I'm no longer here, take care of your brothers. When I'm no longer here, you know, continue your dreams. When I'm no longer here, just be the strong women and don't cry, because you did everything to be with me during my toughest days. You took care of me. Like, I'm very happy that I would have had you. She always said, if you wouldn't have taken care of me the way that you did, I would have died. I would have died already. She always told me that. And, you know, I dropped a lot of things for my mom. I stopped going to school to take care of my mom. I dropped my jobs to take care of my mom. I became her at-home caregiver. And I took care of my mom. We were very close. And I took care of her until her last breaths, really. And the day that she passed away, well, that night, I just remember being like, okay, the worst happened. And if Mama would have wanted me to do something, is to not be so sad about it and to just keep going. And so the next day I got on a flight and I went to go wrestle.
The next day?
The next day. Oh my God.
And I just felt so like, I felt like I was an autopilot. I was just like doing things, but a piece of me was like taken.
And like, I know it's not, you have your brothers and everybody's very supportive and stuff. Yeah. But, you know, there's just like, there's nobody like having your mom.
Exactly.
So yet another reason why I hold her up in such high regards is because shit, personally, I don't know how it is to lose somebody as close. And I guess you really never know how strong you are until that's all you have. Happens, yeah. And so shit, I don't know. We always say, right, we don't know what would we do if we were in that situation. Yeah, exactly. But, you know, the resilience within you, exactly, know, to overcome shit like that. Like,
but I mean, I feel like obviously I miss my mom every day, and there's a lot of, whenever something cool happens or whenever something happens, you know, I wish I could just go home and tell her, you know, talk to her about it. But my conscience is clear because I did everything that I could for my mom. I even fought doctors, dude, like the way that she was being treated everywhere or stuff like that. I remember I was a bitch when it came to, like, I protected her like you have no idea. And so now I'm not saying that it gets easier, but I guess I've gotten used to her absence. Right. You know, and there's only a couple of days where you see Dulce Tormenta in bed crying and I wanted to get up. It's on her birthday, on my birthday, and during the holidays. You know, it's when I miss her the most, when I wish that I could hug her and stuff like that. Right. Yeah. But it has definitely changed the way that I see life, changed the way that I enjoy moments, you know, because one day you're here, the next day, who knows, you know, or we're in this podcast right now, but who knows what will happen in a week or next month or stuff like that. So I really have learned to not take anything for granted, and I try to live the life that my mom always taught me to live, you know, a happy, strong woman.
Yeah. Well, thanks for opening up.
I know. Thanks for opening up. That's really hard. And, you know.
Yes. But it's important because a lot of people don't know that my mom passed away, you know, and those that do, they feel like it's a very touchy subject. But no, it's not. Like, I just have not moved on, but definitely learned to live with it, you know?
Yeah, it's what they say. You can never move on from it, but you learn to live with it. And I mean, just, you know, it's never a good time to lose anybody, obviously, but you being so young too. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I could just imagine, you know, your pain and wow.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, when you wrestle and stuff, do you feel like I'm gonna do this for her? I'm gonna make her proud. Or she's
yes,
with you?
Of course. Like, there's a lot. Yes, all the time, especially when I have like big shows, important shows. As my career keeps increasing, you know, when I traveled to Paris because of wrestling, and so joking around, my brother said, "It's my mom, Dulce." And
Right.
then I would be like, "What do you mean?" And then they would be like, "Well, when you were here, you know, she was always so scared for you to go international, for you to leave the United States. She always thought that you were gonna get kidnapped or whatever. You know, moms, whatever
Yeah.
moms think about, that's gonna happen to their daughters. You know." And so jokingly, my brother said, "Well, it's because you know what, you were with her for so long. Now this is the way that she's gonna pay you back. You're gonna start to just travel and go to Paris
Because she's watching over
exactly,
you. She can see it all. She can see it all.
Exactly. And
She's like,
I believe
now
that.
I can really protect you.
Right.
Yeah.
She goes with you.
Yes, she comes with me everywhere that I go, you know, and so she's definitely a person that I think about before I wrestle, after I wrestle, during my happiest days, during my saddest days, during days that I just feel like I just can't. She is definitely the first person that I think about, you know. She is will forever be such an important person in my life.
Right.
And that's the whole reason why I'm so close to my brothers, you know. You see me, you see my brothers, you know, especially the younger one, because I grew up as his mom. It sounds funny, but I was pretty much his mom, you know. I took care of him.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And so, go ahead.
Oh, well, I was going to ask, and I mean, I know you mentioned that some days are harder than others for you.
Yes.
So what other things do you do on the side to keep yourself busy besides wrestling? Like, is it just wrestling, or is there other things?
No, there's other things. So when I was, I remember I was wrestling maybe a year ago, and I had a match here with my family near wrestling, and I dislocated my elbow. And when I dislocated my elbow, obviously I was out of wrestling. I had to cancel maybe 2 months of shows. So I had no income. And so that's when it really hit me, like, holy crap, you know, what now? What's next? So I healed, and then that's when I decided to go to esthetician school. And so I went to esthetician school. I think I asked you, what school did you go to, right?
Yes.
Because I was interested in going to school for esthetician.
Yeah.
Done
And
it all.
Yeah.
What don't you do?
I know. What should we say? What don't you do?
So I walk in there asking for information. Next thing you know, they signed me up. I'm enrolled. Yes, I'm enrolled.
Tomorrow, show up 8 a.m.
And so I show up to school, and it was so hard for me because I had to travel on weekends, and they're based off of hours.
Okay.
You need to complete 750 hours, and so obviously the program is designed a certain amount of time. But I was always out because I was traveling, or I was injured, or excuse me, the whatever the reason was. It took me a year to graduate. Yes, I know.
Which usually it takes about 9 months.
9 months.
It's like
Okay.
a 9-month program.
So it wasn't even like a big gap. Like you just took a little extra, a few more months extra to
Right.
finish.
Yes, well, it wasn't that I was taking time off. It was just that I could never be in school.
Right.
And so they have a policy, like, you cannot miss more than so-and-so days, blah, blah, blah. If
okay.
not, they put you on probation. So I was always on probation. Yeah, so probation is basically you cannot be late to school. You cannot sign out early. You cannot come in from lunch late. You cannot miss a day for 2 weeks. So I was always it was like, the worst.
Yeah.
It was the worst. And during that time I was traveling. During that time, I think I was invited to AW.
Pero siempre venía
For an
when
extra?
I would see her in between those times,
Uh-huh.
and then she'd be like, "Dude, like, ya me van a decir que ya me van a correr."
Yes,
I
always.
always tell her. Obviously, there's, when things like that happen. There, girls or students will start to get like maybe a little bit of a grudge towards you because they'll be like, well, how can she can do it, and when I try to do it,
Exactly.
I'm like, just luck isn't on your side, I guess. So then even you started getting a little bit of backlash, and people be like, you need to decide.
Yes, exactly. And so I remember I got invited to AW in New Orleans, and for us to be an extra. And I remember I didn't want to go because at the time I was only doing school. I was not working, and so the only income was my wrestling money. But yeah, my wrestling money was not enough to like pay for a lot of stuff or pay for a trip. And when you get invited as an extra, they usually invite you the week before. So obviously flights are super expensive. I didn't want to waste my money on flights. And even then, it's not a secure match that you're gonna have. So you're invited as an extra, and then they might give you a match, they might not give you a match. And so I remember I didn't want to go, but my dad he was like, "Mija, vamos, let's go." And then I was like, "No, Dad, you're crazy. We're gonna drive. That's what 17-hour drive." He's like, "You're crazy." He's like, "Let's go." I said, "Oh, but I have school." And so I remember walking in there, and I told the principal, whatever you call her, would it be a principal?
You know, that person.
Would it be a principal though?
Like, yeah. I don't know qué es. Sí, pues sí, like
A principal,
probably like a dean or something.
a dean, yeah, dean,
headmaster, something like that's what they call it.
yeah. Whatever she calls herself, right?
You know who you are.
I remember going in there, and I said, "Well, you know what? I'm gonna walk in there. I'm gonna tell her I'm a pro wrestler, and I'm gonna go to AW. You know, I'm gonna make
Did you wear your mask? Should have worn your mask.
Yes, exactly. I was gonna give her a PowerPoint presentation.
Let me show you what I'm gonna go do real quick.
Of what I was gonna go do in hopes of her being more lenient with me.
Right.
So then, YOLO. So then she's like, "Well, I can't let you go." Because
you did all of that for no.
Exactly. She
See
was
the
like,
awkwardness.
because it's not fair for the rest of the students. Whatever, we have to be strict with what we stand. And I said, okay. So then I went home and I was like, "Dad, I can't go. I cannot go, Dad." He's like, "Yes, we're gonna go." So then I call my brothers, right? Oh, we're talking, and then they're like, "Dulce, 2 weeks or something like that. You need to be out." So that pushed me even back on my graduation.
Perfect. Say less.
I know. I have vacation. No, but I remember I drove a whole day Wednesday, and a whole day Thursday, and I got there Friday morning. The show was on Friday. No, I drove on Tuesday. I got there Wednesday morning. I went to a Planet Fitness. I showered. I got ready, and then my dad dropped me off at AW, which was in New Orleans, like backstage. And I go in there and I see Brian, my dear friend Brian Cage, and he's like, "Did you fucking drive here?" And then I'm like, I'm like, I had no sleep. Can you really sleep in a car? Like, no, not really. So I was like, "Oh, I just got here." He's like, "Well, if you need something, let me know. Let's go have catering so you can feel more alive." And I was like, okay. So then I'm there. I did all of that. And unfortunately, I did not get a match then. But as I was leaving, I said bye to Sean, who is the guy that reaches out to me. I said bye to him. "Thank you for having me. Always being nice, polite." He goes, "Hey, on Friday we're gonna be in Dallas. Can you come?" So I said, "You know what? It's actually on my way, so I'll stop by." So I remember going out there.
I'll see what I could do.
Yeah. I know, right?
Let me pencil you in.
Let me check my schedule.
Nothing. Kicked out of school.
Oh no, I'm not proud of that, but I had to do it. I know. Me van a dar carrito ustedes. I know. So then I told my dad, and I said, "You know what, Dad? I didn't have a match. My brothers did buy Brian gave my brothers tickets to go into the New Orleans show." And they were like, "We had a blast. We got so drunk. Like, we were just, we enjoyed the whole show either way."
So nowhere to be found.
I know. Backstage. In catering, just eating food.
At least make it worth it.
So we get in the car Wednesday night, which was like 10, 11 p.m. And we just drive. We start driving, and we get to Dallas, and, we rent a hotel. And my brother Edgar, shout out to my brother, he sponsored us a hotel room. Aww. And yes, and so I got some rest. I showered, and I was just like, I remember thinking, I just want to go home. I just want to be home. I don't feel financially stable. I don't feel emotionally okay. I'm tired. I haven't slept. I feel so bad for my family, because they came and they drove with me. My dad drove me. I don't even have money to give him gas money. You know what I mean? And so I show up on the Dallas show, and, I say hi to everyone, and they let me know that I have a match. I know. I had a match with Red Velvet, and I was so happy. I was so proud. It all felt like worth it.
Right.
It all felt, okay, now we're getting something.
Right.
Now I didn't just made a false COVID test for nothing.
Me getting kicked out of school is worth it.
Who needs school anyways?
No, but that's how I felt. You know? So I had a match, and it's on YouTube for everybody that wants to watch it. And then afterwards, we drove back home. I didn't get home till it was on a Friday. I didn't get home Saturday night. And, I remember crying. I just saying thank you to my dad for doing that for me and my brothers for supporting me. And there's a picture of my brother. He's like, if you're wrestling tonight, don't text us. Just surprise us.
Okay.
Oh,
So then I was
God.
like, okay. And I show out and I could hear them. Of course, they had the best seats. Brian gave them tickets. They had the best seats. They were so close. I could hear them, and it was so exciting. It was so cool.
Does it get you nervous? Oh, in the beginning, in that was that one of your big matches that that they were there? Does it get you nervous, or does it pump you up?
Of course, it gets me nervous. So the first AEW show that I ever did was in Austin, Texas, as an extra, and it was packed. It was the first time being on television, the first time being recorded, the first time everything, and so of course I was nervous. But I remember being nervous and telling myself, this is what I want to do.
Right.
So this is it. This is what I want to do. Why am I, I asked myself, is this really what I want to do? Then why are you nervous? Let's just go out there and kick some ass. I remember thinking like that. Right. And so that's
your own hype woman.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yes, exactly.
Got this baby girl.
Looking in the mirror.
That's so cool. That's so cool.
And so, just make it worth it, because I would shower Planet Fitnesses. Sometimes I wouldn't even pay for a hotel. I would just go and drive back, and of course, so that day in Dallas, I come out, whatever, blah, blah, blah. My brother made a sign, and it said, here to see Dulce. And so I'm wrestling, and he's with a sign. I'm like, oh my God.
You're like, that's me. Yeah.
And just two people cheering for me, But that's more than enough.
Yes.
That is more than enough.
Definitely.
Aww.
So you've always had, it's needless to say, you've always had your family support.
Yes, for sure. For sure. And so till this day, my brothers, sometimes they call me crying, and they're men, they're grown men, and they call me crying like, Dulce, you are living our dreams.
Oh,
what we wanted to do and don't have the opportunity to do, you are doing it.
Oh,
and so I have a tattoo of my brother's here on my left rib, and it's meant for it to be whenever I wrestle, I always want them to come with me.
Right.
I always want people to ask me, "What's your tattoo?" Oh, well, you know what? Blah, 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 and tell them the story. You know what I mean?
Behind.
Yeah. So they're literally living vicariously through you.
Yeah, it's that's exactly what's happening. That is really cool. That's
and
cute.
so the big question: did you graduate?
The question that we all
or were you kicked out of school?
so I remember going back to school, and my friends that followed me as Dulce, they were talking we saw you.
Oh, that's right. So then
I remember saying oh my God, shh, it's a secret. Nobody really told me anything, but they knew. Everybody knew where I was at. Everybody knew what I was doing. But the papers there, I was positive for COVID, and nobody
that's all they had to
know. Yeah, that's all they have to know. But no, I didn't get kicked out of school. I was still on probation coming back. But I did finish. I graduated and I completed my hours.
Nice.
And so after that, the year was about to end, and so I got my license in December. And I remember I wanted to do waxing. Oh, this is where it comes. Mm-hmm. I wanted to do waxing. And I thought, well, I don't have enough money to start a business. I'm just going to start working. I was working at Wax in the City.
Shout out to them too. Full of shout outs today.
Shout out to Ayos no. It's Ayos no shout outs.
Oh, zero.
We give you the rolly eyes.
I know you guys are really gonna make me spill the beans here.
That's what we're here for.
I'll spill them out as best as I can.
Okay.
So
Without throwing anybody under the bus.
without saying names, without saying names. And if you're watching this and the shoe fits, then yes, I'm talking about you.
Póntelo.
Yeah, I know exactly. So I applied for the job. I get hired, and I'm thinking I'm gonna step away from wrestling for a little bit because I want to feel normal. I want to have a 9-to-5 job. I want to have a normal job. Now that I have a license, it's a little bit more pay. I'll be making a lot more money. I want to be consistent. This is really what I want to do other than wrestling, and maybe in the future I can manage both. And so I told him that I wrestled, but I was like, but you know what, for now I'm not wrestling, blah, 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 whatever. I get hired. I worked there for a couple of months. And then coming March this year, I get invited to WrestleMania weekend, which is the biggest wrestling weekend in wrestling times every year. So I get invited. My friend Gringo Loco, he invites me. He says, hey, do you want to be part of my show? It's for GCW and it's for World on Lucha. I said, fuck yeah. I was like, of course, like, I'll be there, blah, blah, blah. We talked about, the deal, how the deal, flights, hotel, pay, all of that. And it worked out for him. It worked out for me. And so I was able to be on that show. So that I announced that I was going to be in Los Angeles that weekend. And then eventually I got hit up by 2 more promotions. So then I had a lot of work. But all of my matches are always taken seriously. It's always a big step. You never know who you're going to meet at these shows. So I take everybody the same. But GCW was a show that I really wanted to do, especially that weekend, because there was going to be a lot of people. And it was just one of the best shows that there is, independent-wise, World on Lucha. And on top of that, all my friends were going to be there. Like Laredo Kid, Taurus, all of my friends were going to be there. So it was going to be a fun show. So I remember I found about it in February. No, it was going to be in April. I found about it in February. So at the end of February, I submitted my paperwork asking for the weekend off for April. And it was already a month ahead. I said, okay, well, I've been consistent with work. I don't think I'm a bad employee and it's just for a weekend. I really don't think that I'm going to get declined. So I asked for the days off. And I just remember one morning I show up to work and my manager calls me and she's like, Dulce, can you come to my office? I said,
hell yeah, I'm getting the days off.
Yeah, exactly. I'm so excited, right? No, but as soon as she said that, I said, oh no, what's happening? I go up and she's like, so I looked at your paperwork. You're asking for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday off. What's going on? We really need you here. Blah, blah, blah. So I told her, yeah, well, I'm a pro wrestler. And, I told her everything. And then she goes, well, we need someone that's going to be here, that Wax in the City is their priority, blah, blah, blah. It's so cool that you do that, but we really need someone that's here. So she basically told me that I could not go. She was like, you can't go. We're not going to give you the days off. We're not going to approve them. I already talked to the owner, and he did not approve them, so we're not going to approve them. So I remember cutting her off and just saying, I quit.
Right. There's no questions asked. Okay,
yeah.
Right there on the spot.
Right there on the spot, dude. And the look in her face was like, like, did you really just quit, And I remember quitting and being scared, like, holy fuck, what did I do? Right. I just quit my job. I just quit the job that pays for my bills, my car, my stuff, etc. And she's like, are you sure? Do you need time to think about it? I said, no, I quit.
Yes, I need 5 days to think about it.
To think about it. So I said, I can put in my 2 weeks. She's like, okay, when do you want your 2 weeks to be over? So we go over, blah, blah, blah. She's like, okay, thank you. So then I get out of the office and I still had clients throughout the day. After lunch, I had a couple. I was still fairly new, so I wasn't like filled with clients, but I had a couple of clients. So I remember she calls me into the office again and she's like, hey, I already talked to Fernando. I think it's the owner. I already talked to Fernando and he says to not worry about the 2 weeks. That today's your last day.
All right.
I know. I was like, so you're basically firing me. Like, legit, you're firing me. Because although I quit, I still had 2 weeks, right, to think about my future, So I said, that's fine. So then I took care of my clients. I go out to lunch. I come back. And when I come back, my book is closed. So I remember just being so like they really did that to me. It's okay. Just keep my cool. I grabbed my
Wait
stuff.
for my workers' comp claim.
Exactly.
Since you fired me.
My lawyers will be
gosh.
speaking to you.
I know. And I remember just feeling like shit, I was like, oh my gosh. So
and this was right before you leaving to the big day?
Yes.
My
I still had
God.
like 4 weeks. I still had like 3 weeks before the big
Okay.
day. So I was like, I grabbed my stuff, I clocked out, and I left. I didn't say a word to anybody. I just took my stuff and I left. And at the time, I was struggling. I didn't have a car because somebody crashed my car, which we'll talk about that. And I walked the fountains and I walked to Walgreens and I called my brother. I said, hey, can you pick me up? He's like, why aren't you at work? I said, well, I just got fired. So he picks me up and I remember crying. I remember just crying like, but why? Like all I wanted was a weekend off. I wasn't asking for much, and my brother, he was like, well, you need to understand that they're corporate and, don't be mad at how they function. So I said, you know what? That's right. I understand. So I stepped away. And then after that, I was like, well, how am I going to maintain myself? I still have 3 weeks for me going to LA and me just trying to make this work, Dulce Tormenta work, and me taking this chance that I want to take so bad. Like, what am I going to do? So I remember I blew up on OnlyFans. And I blew up on OnlyFans.
Put the link below.
Link below.
By the
And
way,
then
it's right here.
this is Dulce's 5th talent now. Whoever's keeping tabs.
Did you start your OnlyFans because you got fired or you already had it?
I started it because I got fired, really. I needed an income.
Right.
And a lot of people I know, I used to think that girls with OnlyFans looked bad for having one.
Right.
But it all depends on what content you share.
Right,
For example, my content is like stuff that I would share on Instagram, but instead of putting it on Instagram, it's more for my private. It's more private for my fans.
Right. Like a fan base.
Exactly.
A fan club.
Exactly.
Okay.
I don't post any bad stuff on there. If anything, I'm in lingerie, but like that's totally.
Ay, no más.
That's like that's it. It's like what's
hashtag.
the difference? For those of you that want to see Dulce lingerie,
We'll link all the links.
I know.
he's looking it up.
I know. He's like
Signing up right now.
But I and at first I was a little shy because it's definitely not who I am.
Right. Or it's
But-
out of your comfort
Exactly. But then I started thinking, like, what's the difference between posting on social media that I'm out in Cancun in a 2-piece swimsuit and the fact that I'm posting on OnlyFans that I'm in lingerie in 2-piece? There's no
I'm gonna get
difference,
some money.
You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. And
So
instead of
some
doing it for
income.
likes, I'm gonna do it for money.
right.
Anybody who's not supporting you will always have something to say.
Exactly.
So unless you're paying my rent or paying my bills, you gotta say.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm gonna do what I gotta do.
It comes in through one ear and out the other. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so that I used that to really sustain myself, support myself, and I did really good money. I did really good money. So when I went to LA, I had money to buy food, to pay for Ubers if I needed it. If I had an emergency, I had the money.
Okay.
So I went more secure about myself and my financial stability then because, although I lost my job, my only source of income at the time and the thing that was supporting me, I had my fans that were supporting me through OnlyFans and were keeping me alive, as you can say. So that's really how I started my OnlyFans. Actually, I see OnlyFans as just yet another thing that I do, another work. It's business more than anything. And, you want to see me in a thong, then sure, buddy. But it's going to be,
But it's gonna cost you.
it's going to cost
It's
you.
gonna cost you.
You know what I mean? Like, I started to view it more as business.
We're
more
getting
as
the
a
first
work.
question in. They want to see how much for a thong.
Oh my God, really?
You know what I
That's
was
funny.
thinking is like, okay, so at school, I I remember they used to tell her, well, you need to make up your mind. Do you want to be in school or do you want to pro wrestle? And then at Wax in the City, they're like, well, do you want to wax or do you want to be a pro wrestler?
Exactly.
And each time it was like
Wrestle.
like
myself.
You knew where you were going. You had a vision.
Yes.
And it didn't. They literally told you no.
Yeah.
And when somebody, like, no is the answer that I want to listen to.
Oh my gosh. I feel like that's my fuel.
It could push me.
Yeah, it's definitely it's my fuel. And here, now that you're mentioning that, the reason for my OnlyFans, the story behind my OnlyFans was because I blew up. So I have a fan who works at KVIA, the radio, and he did a story on my OnlyFans. I remember it said something like, our favorite luchadora now has an OnlyFans, for $25 a month. She's going to unmask herself, blah, blah, blah. And here's her link. And so I blew up on OnlyFans.
Cool.
And I remember my friend who used to work at, or still works at Wax in the City, she was like, dude, they're making fun of you because you have an OnlyFans. And I said, what? Send in my link. You know what I mean?
Send in my link.
Exactly. So it was like, oh, thank God I left. It was so toxic. And, they're mad because I quit on the spot. Well, you know what? I'm that woman. I'm that girl that I'm not scared to take chances, although I'm scared in the moment, but later on through life and as I navigate through life and I go all my ups and downs, and eventually I see it as a win. Yeah. So that so then I go to LA. I had this badass match versus Sexy Star. It's on YouTube for those of you that haven't seen it. It was one of the matches that were talked about in the independent scene. And it definitely opened a lot more doors after that, especially in the US. And so it definitely made me feel like, okay, it was worth it. Right. Right. And so now as I traveled more, as I was able to go to Paris. Oh, they invited me to Paris, and I remember thinking like, oh my God, if I was still working at Wax in the City, they would have probably declined my days off, and I would have never gone to Paris. And so I was able to save money, OnlyFans as my job, and wrestling and selling merch and all that stuff. I was able to open up my own waxing place. So it's called Me Time, and it's a small suite for now, but it's been going very slow because obviously I'm brand new. I didn't have clients at Wax in the City, so I'm really starting from scratch. But I'm very thankful for all the friends that have gone, and supported by business. It's like I feel like Wax in the City limited me. Well, you know what? Now I'm gonna come up with my own stuff. Right. And I really see Me Time as it may be a corporate, especially as I travel, as I have the income, as I start to grow in wrestling.
Yeah. I'm running out of paper here. So then you have like your own little boutique store and stuff? Yes. Because one of your fans over here, his name is Eduardo, and he had actually asked, where do you buy mask, rings, use mask, and any merch if unable to attend live shows, but huge fan, he says.
So the suite that I rented for myself, it has a small lobby. It has a room where I see all my clients, and then it also has another room that I'm gonna turn into an office and then soon a podcast. That's where I'm gonna really stack up on merch. And cool. So take orders online. So it all will eventually come together.
So it's coming. Getting there. It's coming. It's getting there. Okay, yes. Eduardo, did you hear that? Take note.
Like, although, if you shoot her a message, she might be able to move some things around. For you.
Yes. If you tell me that you
just for being a fan,
that you listened about it here, then I don't know. I might. Cool. I might even deliver myself. No, I'm just kidding. But it's definitely. Sometimes I'm like, but why do things happen to me? Why do sad things happen to me? But as I travel, as I keep going with life, eventually I see the real results and stuff like that. And I have never, ever, 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 ever let anybody determine my future or make me feel like they have the power to determine my future. Right. They tell me what I'm capable and what I'm not capable of doing. That is one of my biggest pet peeves, and it has definitely molded me into who I am today. Well, that's I've heard it so many times, you know?
It's like you've been through all these challenges, but you managed to overcome each and every one of them.
And they all just make you like stronger.
Exactly. Like I'm more wiser. You know?
And so, like changing the subject a little bit, is that everything you do?
Did we miss anything?
We'll get into that in a little bit, but or should we get into it now? Like foundations and stuff like that.
Which one? Oh, so
yeah.
Well, what? Ask me. What do you want to know?
Like the donating for the kids on
yes,
like, in memory of your mom.
Yes.
And stuff
So
like
now
that
I am more independent, I don't have to depend on a job. My job right now, I can say that it's 100% wrestling, independent wrestling. And throughout my contacts with my family's business, New Era Wrestling, we came across this construction company, Mimbela Contractors, and they have been our sponsors since we started back in 2012, and they have always sponsored us, whether it's $100 or $50. They have always been there for us. And so this year, me and my family stopped doing events after we brought in Penta, and I decided to do something nice for the community. I want to be more involved. I want people to not only know me for the luchadora that is out of El Paso, but I also want them to see me getting more involved, in the community, getting to know me a lot more like that. And so I decided that for coming back to school, I was going to donate for Hart Elementary. And I was going to do that in loving memory of my mom. Because when my mom was still here, she always told me what a happy child she was going to Hart, and the cool teachers at Hart, and Hart is a very humble school. It's in Segundo Barrio. And so I reached out to the school, and I didn't want to just show up with stuff. I emailed the counselor, the principal, and I asked them more or less of the list that they really need. And it was more like uniforms, because sometimes they don't have the fundings, the parents, to buy uniforms, or throughout the years they tear, stuff like that. And are you crying?
Yeah. The Kleenex, please. Where are the Kleenex?
Grandpa,
take some.
I know. I saw you struggling over here, so I was like, "Are you okay?"
I don't know. That's like, I love that. I'm like, if you don't think she could, like, I don't know. I just feel like it's inspirational, like, you know what I mean? Like,
thank you.
It's not all about just you and stuff like that, but like you do a lot. You do a lot for the community.
Thank you.
And I seen it. I mean,
Thank you. So.
Y luego los niñitos,
And it was so cute, and they really they looked up to me, and and my brother Andres, who came with me, he was like, "Dulce, imagine the little boy that you just handed over a backpack with crayons, markers, a new uniform shirt, and his supplies. Imagine him going home and saying, 'Mom, there was a luchadora that came today, and this is what she gave me. This is what she gave the school.'" And for that, it was my brother Andres. He cried. He was like, "I'm so proud of you," and Mom would be so proud.
Right, even more.
Yeah,
like there couldn't be a more fitting name to the school, huh?
Yeah,
Hard.
That's true too.
Yes, dude. So I love that.
I really want that to be a yearly thing. That I donate to Hart Elementary, whether it's supplies, whether it's basketballs for PE, whatever it is. Mimbela, I reached out to Mimbela and I told them my project. I told them what I wanted to do, and they sponsored me, and I was able to do that for the kids. So it's definitely something that I want to keep doing. Nice. So we'll see.
Oh,
hopefully it happens. Yeah, and then eventually I'll start a foundation,
Yeah, definitely.
And stuff like that.
No, sigue. The list keeps going, guys.
Okay, so now let's change it up a little bit.
Okay.
How about your health? How has it changed? You're an athlete.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So you really have to. I see you have a lot of posts on going to the gym and stuff like that. Like, how's that?
So definitely now that I, went through losing a job, now that I work on Onlyfans, because believe it or not, it's my job.
Right.
It has definitely changed my mentality on how I take care of myself. I would always go to the gym, but I would never go that extra mile to really take it serious and really eat cleaner, like legit clean. And, I was always out drinking. That was mostly a thing. And I want to make this very clear, and I'm looking at the camera. Where's the camera? This one? I want to make it really clear. I was never like an alcoholic. I never had a problem with alcohol. I never
We do get that
alcohol.
question a lot.
Yes.
I never abused alcohol. I was just your regular between my 20s, I started drinking when I was 20 through 5 months ago. I was just going out on weekends to bars, drinking, socially drinking. Sometimes I would get, I would drink too much.
Like too litty.
I'll get too lit or tipsy, but I definitely, it really hit me towards the end of this year. Like, okay, what is Dulce Tormenta going to offer next year that's going to be different? Because that's always something that I look forward to. How can I make my look be different? I'm a luchadora. There's a million of us. How can I stand out? How can I be different? How can my look be different? And one of them was, okay, my body. I need to look better and also feel better. I'm an athlete. I need to take this serious because if this is something that I really want to do, the change needs to happen now. And so I gave up drinking for sure. And I just woke up one day and I decided that I was just not going to drink anymore. It was also my birthday. It was celebrated in Denver. Afterwards? No, but leading up to my birthday this July 17, 2023, I was already thinking about stop drinking because I felt like my body was just swollen. I was just tired of drinking. I didn't feel healthy. So I was like, I'm just gonna stop drinking, but I never really did it. So then I went out on my birthday. I celebrated in Denver. I had a match over there, and they gave me cakes, and we went out a day prior to the event, and so, I just had fun. I was drinking and I just had fun, and not only was I getting lit and having fun with my friends and going to bars, I went to the Taylor Swift concert. Ooh, nice. Through the outside.
What?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I heard a lot of people outside.
Oh my gosh. So the promoter was like, "You guys want to go to the Taylor Swift concert?" And I remember thinking like, bro, you got money? Like, what did it mean? Why did it just say so?
Let me see this money.
But I remember thinking like, you're crazy, and I've already had a couple of drinks, and he's like, yeah, there's Taylor Swift is in town. She's at the Broncos Stadium, but they have a party outside of the stadium. And I was, it sounds funny, right? I'm a Taylor Swift fan. I'm not gonna lie, I am a Swiftie, but I'm not a diehard Swiftie. So then we show up, and there's legit a lot of girls dressed like Taylor Swift. Everybody's jamming out to the songs through the outside. Oh shit! And I start singing, "Shake it up," shake it up, yeah, shake it up. You know what I mean? Like, I was just having fun, and it was a great experience. Although I didn't get to see Taylor Swift or her concert or pay for a ticket, but I still had a blast outside, at the stadium. And when I went back to the hotel, I had to wrestle the next day. So imagine me. Oh, shit. I know this is not gonna make me look good, but this is the legit
breaking point.
Yes, yeah. This is the breaking point. So I remember I woke up. I went to go get breakfast, and I'm not feeling okay. As the day went on, obviously I felt a little bit better. I felt really good by the time I wrestled, but it was still a struggle to get better. And although and then. After the show, the day of, everybody left, and we still celebrated my birthday there at the place. So here I am, socially drinking again. I think Ray Fennings was there, Toxine was there, my brother was there, the promoter was there. We just had like a closed party, I guess, and we were all drinking, we were having fun, and they brought a cake and they gave me roses, and it was nice. So then I fly back home, and then I was just not feeling okay. Like, I was just not feeling cruda. Yeah, I was feeling hungover for sure.
Or like, ¿cómo se dice? Cruda moral también.
What's that?
Like, you on the inside knowing that, you should be living this healthy lifestyle.
Exactly. Cruda realidad. Exactly. La cruda realidad.
Exactly. And I was feeling
shitty.
Yes, and I felt like, oh my God, like, is this really how I want to live my life? I already and then it was my birthday, so I was like, I already turned 26. Like, when is it gonna be enough for me to just take care of my body and myself and how I feel and stuff like that. So then I decided to, just the next day I woke up and I go to the living room. I always get together with my brothers to tell them my trips and what I do and, you know, gossip if there's gossip. Yeah, I tell them everything. So I'm telling them and then I'm like, dude, I am going to stop drinking. And at first, ha ha ha, like, no, you're not, like, you're lying. You know what I mean? And it's like, no, I'm being legit. I'm being for real. I'm going to stop drinking because I'm tired of how it makes me feel. And if I want to keep doing this, you know, wrestle and look good and stuff like that, then I need to be like an athlete, feel like an athlete, you know? And then also on top of that, I was, whenever I would get like lit, drunk, whatever, I would really think about my mom. And then I would miss her even more, you know? And when my mom was still here, when she always told me like, "Hi, Dulce, you shouldn't be drinking. You know, like you're a lady or whatever." Of
course.
Yeah, the mom.
Lorraine's heard that one before.
I like, Mom, I think it's time you know you have a son.
El lavato.
Dude, sorry.
Back to you, Dulce.
It was just, everything was just coming together to the reason as to why I should stop drinking. And so I felt disgusted by alcohol. I was just like, I just can't. I cannot. I would start to go to tailgates. And when tailgates, you know, they get pretty rowdy and they get pretty lit. And I was scared at first to attend because I felt like I was going to get tempted. But I did really well. Like, I didn't drink anything. And so it's just been easy on me because I don't crave it. I don't think about it. It's not like I cannot be Dulce Tormenta if I don't drink. Like, no, it's just, we're chill. I definitely feel better. I feel more athletic wise. I feel better in the gym. I've lost weight. I've lost, you know, my acne is getting better. My skin got a lot better. It's just all the benefits that come with it. And who knows if I'll ever drink again. I'm not saying I'm never in my life going to drink again. Or who knows if I'll just get used to being sober and just not drink again. Because, again, I don't crave it. I can go out with friends, go out to a bar and just have fun and be sober. And now my brothers, well, they see me as the DD for sure. So they drink more calmly, or they drink because they know they have a safe ride home. You know what I mean? And I'm all for it. You know, I love my brothers to death, and so I will always make sure that they're okay. And if me being the DD is what's gonna take, that's fine. I don't mind, really. I don't mind them drinking around me. I am starting to see how annoying they are, though, drunk. It's like, oh my God, like, leave me alone. Go with your friends or something. But yeah, and recently, I'm 5 months sober. And recently, my brothers, they were planning on going out. I said yes. I said, you know, I can go. I definitely get tired early, though. Mm-hmm. Like, it's 12, it's midnight. I want to go to bed, you know. Other than when I was drinking, you know, the club would close at 2, you know, where's the after party, you know what I mean? I had this crazy energy. And then my brother started saying like, oh, it's because Dulce doesn't drink, man. Maybe we should just not go. Maybe we should just not drink. Maybe let's just buy a 12-pack instead of a 24-pack, you know? And I don't shame them. It's like, you guys can drink. It's not like I'm going to judge you guys, or it's not like drinking is bad. It's just, you know, you don't have to stop drinking because I stopped drinking. But they're like, no, because we've seen how much weight you've lost and you just look better overall. So I guess I'm starting to influence them without them even noticing.
Subconsciously, they're like,
yeah, exactly.
I want that for me too.
Yeah, that's
exactly.
Good. That's good.
But I'm glad you clarified, because we did see a lot of your fans and your followers asking, or, you know, about your sobriety. So then I think maybe that was, you know, people I guess getting the wrong message, and it's like, no, I didn't have an issue. It was just something that you did socially, but then you just wanted to completely be sober for your health and stuff.
Yes,
okay, good.
And my brothers, especially, because I think I had just posted celebrating 5 months at the gym, 5 months sober at the gym. And my brothers were like, I know, Dulce, you make it seem like you were such an alcoholic, like you couldn't live without alcohol, you know. And I said, oh wow, well that's not the message that I'm trying to like tell my fans, you know. It's just that I was drinking, I guess the normal drinking, but I just decided to stop. I just started to stop completely. And to this day, I can be around people that are drinking. I don't crave it. I could deal with everybody being drunk, and I'm okay with it, you know. Yeah, it has completely changed my way of living, for sure.
Well, I'm not going to lie. I was one of those people when Lorraine was telling me, and then I said, you know, we sat down and I said, so she had a problem?
Yeah,
and she's
exactly.
like, no, that's actually why she wants to talk about it.
Exactly.
Because when I saw your post, I mean, I didn't know much about it. So then Lorraine clarified it and I said, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Exactly.
We just want to go ahead and let you know that we'll be putting some information, you know, about substance abuse, mental health, and if anybody needs it, we'll be posting it with this podcast.
Oh, that's awesome.
Even
that way
it wasn't a problem for you. We do know
that there's
and
a
are
lot of
aware
people
that it is out there and that maybe somebody is going through it.
Exactly.
So
yes, for sure.
if you guys need the help, just know that we're all human. We all go through it.
Exactly.
There's help out there.
Exactly. Go, tell me.
Yeah,
let's talk. No, that's fine. I'm going.
Okay,
through
so
social media.
I just want to let you guys know we will be having a giveaway. It's a really cute giveaway. We have Dulce's merch, a T-shirt. Yes. She's gonna sign it.
Yes.
We're gonna throw in a gift card. So you can take yourself out to eat. And then as a skincare therapist myself.
Is it a gift card for $3 tacos or what? Because I'm down.
Wow. You have to go there.
I'm just kidding.
Wow, what's the story behind it?
Advertising our first podcast.
Dulce, you gotta listen to it.
Yeah, listen to the first podcast for more information.
Refer back to the first podcast. Anyways, so she's gonna sign it. So that's really cute. Since I do see Dulce here for her treatments and stuff, I'm gonna throw in a couple of her favorite facial treatments that I send her with.
Yes.
So you guys will have that and kind of be there. And then lastly, to the winner, she will do a cameo. So she'll personalize it and you can have that with you. And I think that'll be really cute for our listeners.
Yes.
Now
especially because a lot of people ask me for that. So this is a great opportunity.
For sure. So what it'll consist of, you will need to join the podcast page. So Crude and Unhinged. And then like and share the post and then tag a friend that you think might be interested in it. Or something like that, and then we'll give the winner. We'll announce the winner when the podcast comes out, which will be in a couple of days, maybe a week, the latest. But let's continue on with our. Since now that I'm mentioning the giveaway, let's go in with the listeners' questions that they sent in. So we'll have PIC on the wheel.
Throw them at me.
I just spun the wheel and you ready?
I'm nervous.
Give us a drum roll.
Here we go. So somebody wants to know, do you have cute toes?
Oh my God.
Let's see them on camera.
Let's see them dogs. Hey, and by the way, that was not my question, okay?
That's OF material.
Oh my God.
Palo OF, dile subscribe to the OF and you'll find out.
I'm about to promote myself on Onlyfans because I do have feet pics in there. No, but it's so funny because when I first, I was growing on my social media, I think I posted a picture. I was watching a movie and I posted my toes. Like and ever since then, randomly, and ever since then, my friend, he responded. It was a he. He was like, "For free?" ? And I said, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Yeah, you're showing your toes for free." And that's when it clicked. And yes, and ever since that post, I get a lot of messages.
He's like, "There's some market for it. What are you doing?"
Exactly.
I know. He was watching out for me, definitely.
Are you trying to go on these bouts or wrestling matches?
Would you consider it? Are you gonna go into that market with your toes?
I think you do, right?
You do?
You do have one.
Yes, I do.
Right?
Yes, I do. Because a lot of people ask for it.
Nice.
I did get a lot of questions. I think I have cute, toes. I feel like they're not those.
You can see.
Yeah.
She has cute toes.
But you guys can be the judge.
Is there something wrong with you, Dulce, or no?
Oh my gosh.
Ahí vas. Okay. Ready for the next one?
Okay, the next
Drum roll.
Tuvo que salir esa, ¿verdad?
Of course. It's a good one. Seeing your dream come to reality, what are the biggest challenges it brought?
Challenges it brought?
Guess if you could pick one, what do you think was the biggest challenge that it brought?
Learning how to have thick skin. For sure. Like, as I started to grow, well, obviously not a lot of people are going to like you, and that's completely okay. And sometimes a lot of people can be mean on social media. A lot of people can be mean, like gossiping about you. And, you know, I at first, I didn't understand. I'd be like, but why? Like, that's not who I am. Or they only, like, for example, this just happened. I was in this situation it was just looking really bad for me. And I had other wrestlers there who saw the whole thing, and they judged me because of a situation that happened to me. And in my head, I'm thinking, but why? Like, I'm pretty sure if it happened to them, they wouldn't have liked it either, or they would have acted the same that I acted, you know. And I used to be like, but why? Like, if only they knew what really happened, or I would just cry. It would mess with my mental health. It would just mess with who I was, and it would doubt who I really was. But then I learned that it comes with it.
Right.
And I need to have thick skin. I need to really, really, really be okay with my mental health, you know, and be able to manage these stuff. Like, I don't even look at negative comments.
Oh,
it's gotten to that point.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying like, oh my God, everybody hates Dulce Tormenta.
No.
But, you know, one or
There's
two
always
comments.
those
Yes,
people
exactly.
that los cagapalos ahí.
Yeah,
Siempre
exactly.
hay unos
Yes,
tres cagapalos.
for sure. So that's definitely a big challenge, being able to learn how to have thick skin, for sure.
Okay, what do you say? One more?
Yes.
Let's see. They have good questions here. I know. Okay. Are you down to be on any other podcast?
That is not crude and
I wonder who sent this question.
That one was me. I'll say that one was me. Ask her another one. That was me. That one was me. Ask her. Ask her another one. No, ask her another one. Ask her another one.
A ver. That's funny.
Sin raspar muebles.
Bien raspados. Okay, here we go. Oh, this one's a good one. Because I wanted to know too. Are you ever getting an action figure made of you?
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, you know, like those little bob heads that go in the car.
That's cool. That would be awesome.
Right?
So I feel like somebody has tagged me on Facebook that they made a figure of me into Juarez. I'm not too sure. I need to go look back at it. But maybe it'll be part of my merch.
Actually, I think people
really cool.
would buy it.
Yeah, definitely.
That'd be so cool.
That'd be really, really cool.
I know, when you're driving in the...
You know, it'd be cool. Like, if anybody like does 3D printing, that they like 3D print you and you like sell it. That's like a cheaper way to do
for
it.
sure.
You know,
Yes,
that'd be cool.
yes.
Yeah,
of
getting all
course.
the ideas.
Yes,
Open.
Anybody that does any kind of like stickers or 3D stuff, or, you know, anything, you can send me like a sample, and then maybe we can work something. I can order, you know, a few. So yes, exactly. So people can start seeing more of my merch, because right now, for example, I'm still an independent wrestler. Nobody manages me. Nobody markets me. I need to learn how to do all of that myself. So I'm really just doing that by myself. Social media is on me, you know, when I go out, and the little merch that I have is because I've invested in it. So I really want to always have all kinds of stuff for my fans, because they really support me. And, you know, without them, I wouldn't be here, or honestly, I wouldn't be who I am.
Lately that I've been like posting her and everything, her fans are really like fanning. You know, like I feel like a good following. And they're very
they're so sweet,
loyal
nice.
and stuff like that. So I love that.
They're very, very nice.
Okay, well, we have a lot more, but if we have time, we'll come back to them. For now, we want to go ahead and, you know, start leading into our conclusion. It's been great, but tell us a little bit about what is the legacy you want to leave the world and the community or your fans.
Definitely that Dulce Tormenta did everything from home, which was El Paso. Because I've heard a million times, why are you still in El Paso? There's nothing in El Paso. Why don't you move? You know? And it's just like, I can, but El Paso is my home. And so at first, in the beginning, nobody wanted to fly me out of El Paso because it's such a small airport. Tickets are so expensive. But, you know, the fact that it has changed, the fact that they flew me to Paris from El Paso, it's a huge step. I just went to Canada from El Paso. You know, I'm growing in El Paso. So not only is the Guerreros from El Paso, but also myself, my family, the Ontiveros are from El Paso. So I feel like that's the legacy that I want to keep, that I want to leave, you know, because there's a saying that says, te vas a morir, no te vas a llevar nada.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so it's just like, while I'm still here, I want to have a foundation. I want to donate. I want to be more involved with the community. I want people to remember all the good things that I did for El Paso. And for those generations that maybe there's a little girl who is a fan of Dulce Tormenta and wants to be just like me, it's like, she did it, so can I. You know what I mean? And it's just mostly inspire, and all of the experiences that I've had in life, it really motivates me to just keep going, keep growing. Like on Tuesday, I'm gonna go to Burgess High School to train with the wrestling team with the girls, and then I don't know, maybe I'll start a GoFundMe so we can, you know, start something. I don't know, get money, buy them, you know, tracksuits, or, you know, so they can look fly and cool. Aaron Jones does that for the basketball team.
Nice.
Maybe I can do that for the wrestling team, you know, and they'll always remember Dulce Tormenta, and that's really who I truly wanted. I'm not a like materialistic girl. I've never have been, because again, I come from nothing. So I love more the little things. I love more, you know, the memories, and how you impact people is really how I want to be. I want to impact people. I don't want them, you know, like I was just telling Lorraine, like, even if I did have the money to buy a luxury, you know, bag like a Louis Vuitton or whatever, and still be financially stable, I'm gonna cry the day that it does happen. I'm gonna cry because, you know, first of all, I'm not materialistic. It's not something that I want every day. You know, I don't wake up every day and like, oh my god, like I'm gonna go shopping, or I'm gonna go spend my money or whatever. But I really want to get to that point where everything that I'm able to accomplish, like, it's because I did it and I accomplished it, and I earned it. You know what I mean? It's just a lot.
A quick question.
Yes.
Referring to that. Now, seeing how you've done everything from the ground up, you've literally built it yourself. Your family has supported you and everything. Obviously you take a lot of pride in that.
Yes.
Do you want to continue to become an independent? Do you want to grow as an independent, or do you eventually want to get signed and then get managed?
I feel like the goal obviously is to be signed. You know, but for now, because I used to think. So when I first started, I wanted things to happen now. I wanted things to be like, I want to sign right now. I want to sign right now. And why am I not signing right now? You know, but if it's not my time, it's not my time. I've learned that in wrestling. And the fact that I'm able to just grow to the person that I am today and the wrestler that I am today as an independent, as me doing everything from home, as me doing everything from my iPhone, you know, it's just like, imagine when I do get signed. Or imagine when I do get there, you know, a lot of people are going to know me. A lot of people are going to, I would rather go through all the experiences, the good and the bad, the good wrestling, the bad wrestling, and everything, and then get there and people be like, oh my god, I saw her when she was in her independent days. Right. You know, then for me to just show up to the big stuff and people have no idea who I am, no background, no story, no nothing. So signing is the goal, but for right now, I'm okay with just doing it all by myself. Yes.
And so with you saying, you know, that the main goal is to get signed and all, you know, obviously that comes with a lot of success and stuff. Do you feel that some men may feel intimidated by you?
Yes.
I mean,
I'm like,
your strength, your success,
career-wise,
you know,
dating.
right.
Yeah, so I feel like career-wise for sure, because most of the men that have, quote unquote, left El Paso to wrestle are men. And I have encountered most of them, and it has not been a good experience.
Okay.
Dating wise, for sure. I was just, you know, I've it's so weird. So I don't have time to date. I really don't. My mind is more into like my business, gym, my family, and wrestling. So when I do give the time of the day to a guy, it's like I regret it instantly, just because they don't give me the vibe of like, I'm like, I'm a man and I can protect you.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so I feel
I'll body slam you
exactly.
right here.
Yes. Exactly. Exactly. It's like they make me feel like I'm the alpha. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's just not it. Like Lorraine was asking me, would you ever date a fan? And I said, you know what? I went on a date with a fan. He took me out to we went to lunch actually. And it was so nice. It was, you know, he's a cute guy. He's very handsome. And we got to know each other. But it was just not it because he was like fanning on me hardcore.
On Dulce Tormenta,
yes,
not
Dulce
the person
Tormenta.
behind the mask.
Yes, Dulce Tormenta hardcore. And it was just like, you know, I
idolizing you.
Yeah. I you know, I do lucha libre 24/7. I want time to just, you know, get to know someone and maybe not talk about wrestling so much. Or if I do talk about wrestling, I want you to understand what I'm talking about, what I really go through. And he couldn't. And so nicely, I said, you know what, he invited me out again. And I said, hey, you know what, well, I can't, I'm busy, you know. And it's not because I'm mean, but I promised myself that I would never lead somebody on if I'm not interested. And that's just being completely honest. You know, it did happen like with one guy, another guy who invited me out to dinner. I said yes. And, you know, we went out to dinner and everything was nice. Everything was cool. But I really saw it as a getaway. I was just like, okay, I need to get out of the house. I'll say yes to this guy to go have dinner. And then he invited me out again. I said yes. And then he invited me out again. And then he's like, well, he's really trying to like tell me his feelings, how he feels about me. And it's like, oh my God, no, what did I do? Like, I was really just trying to.
I was just trying to have a third meal.
But I noticed that I was leading this guy on without me even realizing it, you know, because those were not my intentions. And I talked to him and I said, hey, you know what? Well, you know what? I told him X, Y, and Z, and he understood. And he sees me on social media as my personal Instagram, and he's a really good supporter, and I'm really thankful for that. I have never broken anyone's heart, at least I don't think so. But
message is coming in right now saying otherwise.
But like men wise, for example, I was really good friends with this wrestler. I'm not going to say names, but he's a very well-known wrestler. He's an international wrestler. And, you know, he has always been my friend. We've been really good friends. And so he was going through a divorce and I was there for him. We were cool. And I'm thinking in my head, right, like, oh, well, I'm going to be his friend. I'm going to be there for him. And so I'm there for him, blah, blah, blah. And then as time went on, he was like, hey, you know what? Well, I think maybe we could be more than friends. Do you want to be more than friends with me? And I'm like, what do you mean? Yeah, just have fun. And I would be like, that is so disrespectful. But I remember thinking into my head, like, what?
Okay.
Yeah. But yes.
But fine, I'm agree to it.
But I remember just thinking, I remember just feeling disrespected.
Right.
And I told him, no, like, como crees? I only see you as a friend. Plus, you were married to my friend. Like, that is just not okay. You know what I mean? And I remember he kept like really going after it. And I told him, no. I said, no, why don't you get in line? Because there's a lot of guys that would want to do that.
Why don't you take a ticket right here? Here you go.
And after I said that, dude, I hit him in his ego.
Yeah,
I hit him right there.
Ego jugular.
Yes.
You'll never hear from them again.
After that, he blocked me. He unfollowed me. And it's just like, fucking man, dude. Like, and he's a grown man too. Like, just grow up, dude. I said no. You know what I mean? And another situation locally, he's a star. He was an ex-star somewhere. And he invited me to his kid's birthday party. I said, yes, I show up. We're cool. We're friends. We come from the same high school. I'm thinking, oh my God, this is such a nice dude. My mom had just passed away. So he said, come to my kid's party so you can have other things to think about. So you're not home thinking about, you know, your mom. And I agreed. I go. When it's time for me to leave the party, he walks me to the door and he grabs me. And I remember going like, what are you doing? You know? He's all getting ready to go 90 while I go 10. No?
You're like, you do know I can body slam you right here,
oh my
right
gosh.
now.
I remember just like pushing away, and he was like, what are you doing? I already told everyone that you're mine and that you're going to be mine. And I remember thinking like,
Psycho.
I said, excuse me, I'm not yours or no one's. And then he's like, he gets so upset. He's like, te gustan los cacas. And then you're laughing about it, Lorraine. And I was like, who's those cacas? And then
I'm gonna start one.
oh my God. And then I remember thinking, like, saying him, like, what the fuck are you talking about? You know? So I walked back to my car. I said, you know what? Bye, dude. I thought you were doing something nice for me, but no. Like, fuck you.
Plan con mañana. Like,
exactly. That was his intention.
I'm like, dude, like, okay, we just literally went to a kid's party. And like, no mames.
And my mom had just passed. You
yeah.
know?
So was he trying to take advantage of
of the situation or what's going on here? So I went home. I told my brothers. My brothers were like so pissed, right? And I'm like, it's okay. I know how to defend myself. Because of past experiences, as we're gonna get to right now. And I go on social media, blocked, dude.
Oh my God.
Yes, it's just like, what the fuck's wrong with these men? Like, yeah, it's like, I don't have to, like, sleep with everyone to get a place in the wrestling business, you know? And I feel like that's exactly where I hit them, you know? And especially as a woman, imagine how they feel like, oh my God, this girl out of nowhere is getting somewhere and she said no to me. Imagine how angry you could be or whatever the case is, you know? Another situation, let me see, what's another situation that I had to go through? My brother, he went to wrestle in a local show here in El Paso, and he met with this referee, and he comes home and he's like, dude, I saw so-and-so, and he made me so uncomfortable. I said, why? He said, because he told me that if you ever need a real man, to hit him up.
What? For your own brother? Oh my God.
And I remember just like
the awkwardness.
I know. And I was like, what did you say? He's like, bro, I just walked away. Like, what do you say to that? You know, I was just like, fuck no. And I walked away. And then he goes, ha ha ha, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, when he saw the awkwardness.
Oh my God. So it's just like, I appreciate my friends who are truly my friends and have stayed my friends and they respect me. You know, I've gone through those situations, and the most strongest one was a local wrestler sexually assaulted me. And so that is one of the reasons why I don't let men just fucking want to do whatever they want, because it's just not like that. I'm not like that. You know, it happened to me once, it will never happen to me again.
Is that one of the reasons why you don't wrestle here in El Paso?
Yes, that's exactly the reason why I don't wrestle here in El Paso. Because
you want to talk about it?
Yes, I do, without saying names. But because I want to talk about it because, you know, this man has, obviously there's two sides of the story. And this man has really taken his time to talk about his side of the story. And I've heard about it through people. So the other day I was doing a signing for a book, and this man comes up and he brings up this family and this legacy. And I'm thinking to my head, like I fucking hate them, you know? Well, I don't hate them, but it's just like, ugh, like if only you knew what they did to me, you know? And I told him, oh, I don't support them. I don't fuck with them. And the guy said, yes, I know. I said, what do you mean? He's like, I know what happened. And in my head, I'm thinking, no, you don't. You have no idea what happened. You know, I met my friend. She's from Chile. She just moved to Mexico City. I'm La Catalina, that's her name. And she traveled to Tijuana, and I met her in Tijuana. And it was the first time that I met her. And we're getting to know each other. She's a really nice girl. She's a really good friend. And she goes, hey, can I ask you something? I said, yes. She said, have you ever dated this guy? Did you ever date this guy from El Paso? I said, oh my God, he's such a nightmare. Like, I was seeing him, but it was never official. She goes, well, he made sure that everybody knew in Mexico City at Bandido's gym that he used to date you, and that you were crazy for him. And when he broke up with you, you went crazy and stalked him in his house and didn't leave him alone. Oh my God. I remember being so angry. And I told her, well, did he tell you that he did this and this and this and this and this to me? She goes, no, he didn't say that. I said, of course. And so it's very important for me to talk about it because I do get asked a lot. So I stayed away from the wrestling scene because everybody thinks they know. Just a couple months ago, I went to go wrestle for PWL, and I was going to be the first woman to be there. And, you know, I told them my wrestling fee. They said, well, you know what? Can you work with us? You know, we're just starting. I said, yes, for sure. I'm here to support you guys, to support more local. And they're like, can you come in to do some promos or video? I said, yes. I show up. First thing he tells me, I know what happened between you and this guy. We don't want any problems.
Is that literally the first thing they told you?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And I remember just being angry and being, dude, you have no idea what happened. Like, don't get in my business like that. So I'm ready to talk about it. It's been 2 years now, and I'm ready to talk about it. Maybe in 5 years from now, I'll be ready to talk about who did it, you know? Or maybe if you're watching this, you will know exactly who I'm talking about. But I was dating this guy, and my heart is racing. And we were getting to know each other, blah, blah, blah. And along those lines, I had booked a show in San Antonio, and I booked him with me. It was an intergender match show. And so I said, you know what, we'll drive. We'll take my car. At the time, my car was 2022. So this was 2 years ago. It was a brand new car. And we traveled to San Antonio. We drive back. And on our drive back, he falls asleep on the wheel. And we crash.
Oh, my God.
And when we crash, I'm sleeping in the passenger seat. My younger brother is behind me. And I remember I was relaxed in the car, and my ankles just boom. I just felt like I broke something. I wake up, I'm scared. I think my car is on fire. Everything is just like, and nothing is making sense. I was just asleep, you know. This guy is like, oh my God, I fell asleep, you know. It's just so irresponsible of him to do that. So at the time, I was more thankful that we didn't die, that we didn't roll over. So I said, you know what, don't worry about the car. We'll take care of it when we get home. But I need to call the cops. I had never crashed ever in my life. I had to call the cops. He's like, no, don't call the cops because I have warrants and they're going to take me. So he kind of like scared me. And of course I was with this guy, so I didn't want him to be taken to jail. So I said, okay, you know what? We'll take care of it when we get home, or just pay me back. Of course, right? My mistake. So we get home, and the next day we had to drive to Tucson for another wrestling show. And he's like, we're going to go in my cousin's car. And we're going to drive to Tucson, and, you know, everything's going to be okay. Just leave your car at my house so your parents don't see it. It's really a stressful situation, the fact that I have to hide it from my parents.
Right.
So we get in this car, we drive to Tucson, and the whole time I'm just angry. I'm just mad. I'm worried. How can this fucking guy fall asleep behind the wheel? We could have died. You know, where could I be right now? Everything was just going through my head. So irresponsible, I'm thinking. And I remember just being mad at him. And I remember thinking, as soon as I get back to El Paso, bro, this is it. I'm going to break up with you. I don't want to be with an irresponsible person like that. So we wrestle, and I'm still mad, and I'm still angry. And then they had booked us a hotel. Obviously, I was going to spend the night with him. And I just remember being disgusted and feeling like I just can't be with this guy. And he sexually assaulted me, unfortunately. And it makes me feel so weak as a woman.
Kleenex.
Because I feel like I wasn't able to stand up for myself. And other than that, it's embarrassing, you know. A lot of people are going to see this interview, my brothers, my family. And a lot of people don't know. And these are the things that I wish I would have told my mom. A lot of younger girls follow me. And, you know, this person that they idolize and they look up to, you know, what happened to her. She was sexually assaulted by a man. And I just remember, if you've never been in that situation, you will never understand. But if you have, you just freeze. Like, you just can't do anything. And I just remember saying, no, I don't want to. I want to go home. So then I remember the next morning I confronted him, and I told him, I said, hey, you know what? That was not okay. I said no, and you should have understood that. And I told him, like, it's just not okay, dude. I was so angry. And I remember he looked at me dead in my eyes and he laughed. And he said, you think people are going to believe you? I come from a generation. I come from a family that is well known in El Paso for wrestling. He laughed in my face and he said, now you're going to use that against me. Don't act like you didn't like it. I was so angry. And I remember driving home and at the time I was texting my friend who's a wrestler. And I was like, I was mad. So I was like, hijo de su puta madre, like this guy just did this and this and this and it was not okay. I didn't want it. I just didn't want it to happen to me. And no means fucking no. And this guy didn't know about it. So we drive back to El Paso. Whenever life goes on, he never paid me back. I sued the guy for not paying me. My mom passed away. I was just going through it. I sued him. We went to court. He didn't show up. He didn't pay me back. And right there and there, I just decided to let it go. But how could I let it go if he did more than just crash my car?
Right.
And if you're the guy that I like right now and you're watching this, I'm so sorry. Like, I feel like I was going to tell him this last time that I saw him, but how can I? It just makes me feel like all the things that I just talked about, you know, all the accomplishments and things that I've done, it makes me feel like they don't matter because this happened to me. And I've just gone through it really, and it's been 2 years since then, and I feel like it's just my time to talk about it and to really like explain to the people, because fans, it's not their fault, you know, but it has just really made me feel like I cannot be involved in El Paso's independent scene because everybody thinks they know, and everybody judges me for what they think they know. But you know, they really don't know the real story behind it. Just the other day, like when it had barely happened and I was still silent about it because I was scared. I was scared that this guy might have been right. You know, when he told me that nobody would believe me, I thought he was right. And I saw his father and he wanted to say hi to me. He extended his hand. And for the first time after that, I stood up for myself. I said, don't you dare say hi to me after what your son did to me. And he walked away. And if you do that in the wrestling world and the indie scene, it's like, oh my gosh, he's so disrespectful for not saying hi to such a big generation wrestler father. But it's like, well, what do you mean? Like, his son literally crashed my car, never paid me back, and sexually assaulted me. That man doesn't deserve my respect. That family doesn't deserve my respect. If anything, I will never talk shit about them. I just ignore them. I just look the other way. Even right now, I'm courteous enough to not name him, but you know, if the shoe fits, then wear it. You know, if you know who I'm talking about, then you know who I'm talking about. Maybe I was strong enough 2 years later to talk about it. Maybe I'll be strong enough, I don't know, 5 years from now to say who did it or to name the guy. You know what I mean? But it's a real story, and again, it has impacted the way that I see dating specifically. I just met this guy. I was talking to Lorraine about it. I was coming here and I'm like, oh my God, I really like this guy because he's respectful. At no point has he ever made me feel like he doesn't respect me or he doesn't respect my decisions. You know, no means no, and it doesn't matter who it is. You know, it could be your boyfriend, it could be your girlfriend, it could be your husband, your wife. No means no, and who knows? Maybe you'll add that to the list. I'll become an advocate. Is that how you can say it for sexual assault, because it's real. And there's a few people that know about this. There's this wrestler. Her name is Zafiro. And I remember just telling her, I was at my breaking point. I told her, like, I know you're not going to believe me, but this is what happened with this guy and this wrestler and, you know, blah, 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 blah. And she looks at me dead in my eyes and she tells me, I believe you. And I just remember, yes, exactly, the difference, right? And I remember just having like this relief. And she told me, when you're ready, you're going to talk about it. My friend, another wrestler from Dallas, she spoke about her sexual assault. And I remember texting her and telling her, you're so fucking strong. Like, I wish I could do that. And she said, you will, when it's your time to talk about it. And so I feel like it has made me an even stronger person, but it hasn't. I don't know. I'm just in between, like this guy that I like, right? I told him, like, I had never dated a wrestler and, by stuff like that. But in reality, like, I lied to him because I had this thing with this local wrestler, who is nobody, like, but I still felt like telling him, but how can I tell him that I got sexually assaulted? You know what I mean? It's just
How do you tell him without
powerful?
telling him?
Yeah.
Like, it is very powerful. What happens, regardless of how strong and independent we think that we are,
yes,
something like that is, or no, you're a wrestler, you could have easily used something, but the reality is that men are a different breed.
Yes,
they're stronger.
Yes,
and there's a point where you just become so little to them, like, okay, especially in a vulnerable situation like that, you know what I mean? And so I feel like it doesn't matter how strong you could have been physically. I've been in a position where a man was stronger, and they put you in a position like that.
Yeah, exactly.
And it doesn't make you any less stronger or any different. We don't see you any different.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And I know that you might feel like you feel a little bit more vulnerable now.
Yeah, exactly.
And like out in the open and stuff. But I mean, it's situations like that are the ones that make you stronger.
But these are the healing situations.
Yes,
I mean, talking about it is a different type of strength, basically.
Yes, and at one, like, it makes me very ashamed, like embarrassed to talk about this, because this is the real Dulce Tormenta, but I really need to put myself out there and my experiences for people to understand, especially like that one fan that asked you, why don't you wrestle El Paso? Well, this is the real reason, and it's not their fault.
Again, we go back to the same thing. Maybe there's somebody out there that has gone through the same thing, and they don't have the courage to accept it, or to say, I was a victim of this.
Exactly.
And you bringing awareness, you have a following, you have fans, and bringing awareness. I mean, anybody can bring awareness, but you do have a big following, and hopefully, if there's anybody also out there that went through this, is going through this, they can look up to you and see that it is possible to talk about it. It is possible to heal from it, and it is possible to learn from it.
Exactly.
And we'll also be linking some additional information regarding the National Sexual Assault Hotline. If anybody feels like you've been through this situation, you want to talk about it, just like Dulce did today. It means a lot that you opened up to us, and hopefully, if you don't have that person that you can open up to, then there's always a resource to find, to get, and we'll be happy to link it.
Well, thank you, girls. And after this, whoever sees this, like, I'm all ready for it, because I know I'm gonna hear she's mad because he broke up with her. I know I'm gonna hear she's so dramatic. I know I'm gonna hear she put herself in that situation. I know I'm gonna hear all these comments, but really, like, I don't want, and I also don't want my Instagram or Facebook to be bombarded with, like, I'm so sorry this happened to you. Like, no, it happened to me. Okay, let's move forward. Like, support me instead. Share my stuff. Buy my stuff. Look at my matches on YouTube. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Let's move forward, because it's a very dark place for me to look back and put myself in that situation again. And I feel like I haven't done that in 2 years. I've always tried to avoid it, not think about it. Oh, so I really wanted to touch on this now that I'm thinking about it. So remember the guy that I texted that was my wrestling friend, that I told him that it had happened to me the moment it happened to me? So this year, he was going to wrestle this guy one-on-one. And my friend was going to wrestle this guy. And I saw the match card on Facebook, and within an hour, he calls me. He's like, Dulce, I'm going to wrestle the guy that fucking did this to you. And then I said, yeah, I saw. And he's like, he's going to pay for it. I said, you don't have to. But I would be greatly appreciated. But you don't have to. I would love to see it. I was like, you don't have to. But you were definitely the only person that I've told and that knows what really happened. The moment it happened, I texted you and I talked to you about it. You don't have to, but But nobody knows that So So the day of the match comes and he sends me the link. He's like, this person's gonna record it live and I just want you to watch it. Bro, he got his ass whooped. And, you know, in his mind, he's thinking, oh my God, I had this badass match with this superstar. Because he's a superstar. He's like, he probably had no idea. But in reality, bro, like, this superstar beat your ass because of how you treat women. Because of how you treated me.
There was a motive behind it.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yes.
Yet again, wrestling is real.
Exactly. But you come to think, like, it's such a small world. Like, if you're a shitty person, shitty things are going to happen to you.
Right.
And he's a perfect example.
Well, wherever you are, you trip and fall and break all your teeth.
No, and that's the thing. Like, I don't even wish him bad. Like, you know, it's, like I said, it's such a small world. Karma, I believe in karma, and you know, when you do bad stuff does happen to you. Right. And I hope he has learned his lesson, especially what happens after this. Like, I want to look in the camera and say, my intention is not to cancel this person as a wrestler. My intention is for just to tell my story, because whether I like it or not is part of who I am.
Right.
And whatever you guys decide to do after this is up to you guys. If you guys want to look up who it is, or kind of have an idea, or you know, whatever you want to do, it's up to you. I'm not here to cancel anybody or to wish bad on anybody. It's just my experience as a woman, my experience with this person. So, yeah.
Well, Dulce, I mean, I'm without words right now. I've learned about Dulce Tormenta, and like,
if you didn't know who Dulce was before, now you do.
Yeah.
And you know, I would suggest Googling her and stuff, because there is a lot of articles on her.
Oh yeah, there is.
Yeah, there is.
It's so crazy that you can Google. My brothers Google me all the time.
Yeah, I saw some
That's
YouTube
insane.
stuff. I was doing it too.
Yeah. Y lo yo.
Yeah, right now, like,
that's right.
what match was this?
The article. She sent you the article.
Is this it?
Yeah.
Is this what we're talking about?
Wait, give us the link.
Con la espinita,
Que nos den that link de that match she was just talking about. I want to see who's that.
Oh yeah, I'll send it to the Lorraine. She can send it to you.
Do you wanna leave your social media handles and everything you do?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. So do I just say them or? So I have, first of all, I have Instagram as Dulce Tormenta. I have Facebook, Dulce Tormenta. I have TikTok, Sweet Storm 915. I really don't use TikTok. Maybe I should. Maybe we can do a TikTok right now.
Yeah.
I have YouTube, Dulce Tormenta. I have my OnlyFans, Dulce Tormenta. And you guys can follow me on social media. And remember, don't feel bad for me. I don't want to hear, oh my God, I'm just support me. Let's move forward. Follow me on all social medias. Let's make my social media blow up. You know, let's make this into something positive, because it's been 2 years now. I have forgotten about it.
You're in a different place now. You're going places.
Yes, exactly.
So that's where we're at right now, guys.
Exactly.
Let him feel super small. That be his karma.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Him who?
Well, it was great meeting you, Dulce. This was my first time meeting you, and it's been great. Thank you for coming, and thank you for opening up to us. You know, it was wonderful to know.
Well, you girls are so sweet. You guys are so
supporting. Obviously, you know, this project.
Yes, of course. So I'm really gonna share it and everything.
Yes, I'm really grateful that you decided to come on good old Crude and Unhinged.
When I decided to do this podcast, though, I really thought like right now, when I talked about my mom, I know I kind of, you know, couldn't get it together, but I couldn't get it together because I know that this is gonna get out there. But you know, thinking that I'm here with Lorraine, that I'm here with you, it definitely makes me feel like I can really talk about these things and.
And you know, you
take a different way, because all my interviews are always like wrestling, and this was definitely something different. So
really, you know, cool. Honestly, we do this all the time in our treatment room.
Yeah, that's true. Like, this is something.
I'm like her therapist.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
You guys just added a microphone today.
We decided to
in the mask.
Yes, I have the privilege of knowing her without the mask. So yeah. So thank you so much for coming again, and we truly do appreciate it. And we wish to see a lot more growth out of you and the superstar that you're about to become, because it's in the works for sure.
Thank you. you so much. I appreciate
Any
it.
last
Thanks,
words?
girls.
Anybody?
No. What do you think about this podcast?
Whole situation.
I personally think it's awesome. It's so different from my podcast, but I mean, I love it. Thank you for opening up. I mean, I know we barely met too, but for you even to share your stories, it's awesome. I feel like I got to know you. I feel like I'm one of your homies now. It's weird. It's weird. I feel like I grew up with you now, like in what you said in Juarez, and then coming over and doing, like, I feel like I grew up with you now. It's
so
crazy.
awesome.
It's weird. But I
so
appreciate
cool.
you. Yeah. If you want to follow us at the bro.monroe.show or follow me, the.notorious.ray. I mean, that's all I got for Lorraine.
Yes. Thank you so much. Well, that's a good feedback, and that's really the whole point of this whole thing.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you guys. We'll be back for episode 5.
Till next time.
Bye.
Bye.